Chapter 112. When Li Shu heard Mo Xiao Bai's words, his face turned cold. Are you taking me for a joke? He was already feeling terrible about the death of his companions. He didn't expect this kid to play with him. His beer belly uncontrollably heaved, and his nostrils flared. He looked at Du Ling and Lu Bin, as well as the silent Lin Zixin. His expression changed, but he still snorted and didn't get angry. I won't argue with you for the sake of Xiao Ling and the others. Even Du Ling and the other two were dumbfounded. They stared at Mo Xiao Bai, their eyes full of question marks. Although they knew that Mo Xiao Bai was strong, his opponent was a rank 2, level 6 monster boss. Wasn't this a little too arrogant? Mo Xiao Bai was silent for a moment, then said, I think I might be able to defeat a rank 2, level 6 monster boss. How would I know if I don't try? Try? Everyone laughed when they heard this. Even Li Shu was so angry that he laughed. He looked at Mo Xiao Bai and said, Go find one-eyed and try. Do you want to risk your life? Young man, you're too arrogant. You'll get into trouble easily. You're still a student, right? Which academy are you from? How can you be so arrogant? Mo Xiao Bai wasn't angry at everyone's reaction. He knew his own combat strength, but Li Shu and the others didn't. It was normal for them to have such a reaction. Mo Xiao Bai didn't say much. The blood-patterned heavy sword appeared in his hand. He turned to look at everyone and said with a smile, I'm Mo Xiao Bai, a first-year student of Akatsuki Academy. I'm also the champion of this year's Chuming Trial. Which 3-apertured level 1 or level 2 seniors would like to give me some pointers? Everyone was stunned when they heard Mo Xiao Bai's words. Their eyes widened slightly. A freshman of Akatsuki Academy, the champion of this year's Chuming Trial, the top scholar of this year's college entrance exam? Everyone was shocked. Even Du Ling and the other two widened their eyes and looked at Mo Xiao Bai in disbelief. Although they knew that Mo Xiao Bai was Akatsuki's student, they never thought that Mo Xiao Bai was actually a new student of Akatsuki. Moreover, he was this year's top scorer. Although Akatsuki's students were very powerful, they were already existences that were beyond their reach. However, Akatsuki students were also divided into strong and weak. Akatsuki's new top scorer was obviously the strongest batch. Whether it was talent or strength, they were the batch at the top of the pyramid. After hearing that Mo Xiao Bai was Akatsuki's top scorer, everyone's expression changed, but they didn't continue talking like before. How could Akatsuki's top scorer be a fool? Amidst the silence, a tall and thin rabbit-human man wearing a guard army uniform squeezed through the crowd. I'm Ice Cream, the deputy commander of Northridge Town's guard army. My strength is at level 1, 3 apertures. Let me test your strength. Deputy Commander Ice Cream? After seeing Ice Cream, everyone was stunned. Why are you here? Ice Cream nodded at Li Shu. I heard that Captain Li encountered one-eyed, so I came to understand the situation. As he spoke, he turned to look at Mo Xiao Bai. Mo Xiao Bai, you said that you're Akatsuki's new top scorer. How about I be your opponent? Mo Xiao Bai looked at Ice Cream and grinned. Of course, no problem. Then I'll have to trouble you, Commander Ice Cream. Ice Cream chuckled. Ha, no trouble. After hearing Mo Xiao Bai and Ice Cream's words, the crowd consciously made way for them. Ice Cream took out a battle sword. His long white rabbit ears shook slightly. He looked at Mo Xiao Bai and smiled. Come. Mo Xiao Bai smiled too. Then his eyes turned sharp. He stomped on the ground and his strength exploded. Dong! The ground let out a muffled sound. Fine cracks like a spider web appeared on the green flagstones of the pier. Everyone felt the ground tremble slightly. They could not help but widen their eyes and look at Mo Xiao Bai in shock. Mo Xiao Bai's body turned into a shadow and rushed in front of Ice Cream in an instant. He held the blood-patterned heavy sword tightly with both hands. White light flashed on the sword. Triple slash. 3 streaks of sword light flashed across the sky. The sharp sword wind surged and swept across the area with a radius of more than 10 meters. Ice Cream felt Mo Xiao Bai's violent attack. His originally careless look changed. His pupils contracted violently. He held the battle sword tightly with both hands and slashed it across the air. Clang, 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 Clang! Ice cream blocked the 3 consecutive slashes. His expression changed slightly. He kept retreating, and his arms trembled slightly. He looked a bit shocked. What a powerful strength! This strength did not look like the strength of a two-apertured fundamentalist at all. The crowd in the distance gasped when they saw Ice Cream was repelled by one attack. They opened their eyes wide in disbelief. Deputy Ice Cream was repelled. How is that possible? While everyone was still in shock, Imo Xiaobai's expression did not change after the attack. White light flashed on his legs, and he rushed toward Ice Cream again. The heavy sword tore through the air and slashed toward Ice Cream again. Kid, don't look down on me. Seeing Imo Xiaobai's aggressive attack, Ice Cream was annoyed. He bent his legs slightly and stomped on the ground. His body turned into a shadow and disappeared instantly. The blood-patterned heavy sword flashed across the air with a sharp sword light. Imo Xiaobai was shocked. He felt a sword light flashing from the left side. Imo Xiaobai blocked with his sword. The battle's sword slashed. Clang! Imo Xiaobai took a few steps back. Ice Cream attacked again. The battle sword slashed like a storm. Imo Xiaobai looked calm. Holding the heavy sword, his body flashed. He dodged from time to time and blocked from time to time. The two fought. The aftermath of the collision of the sword and the sword turned into a ring of air wave more than 10 meters away. The stone floor was almost shattered under their stomps. Watching the two fight, everyone held their breaths and opened their eyes wide. They did not expect Imo Xiaobai to be able to compete with the 3-apertured level 1 Ice Cream. Is this the strength of a super genius from Akatsuki? Someone murmured. Even in the Red Moon, I'm afraid that there are very few people with such combat strength. Everyone was shocked. Clang! Another collision. Imo Xiaobai and Ice Cream took a few steps back at the same time. After a short confrontation, Ice Cream put away his battle sword and said with a smile, "That's enough." He looked at Imo Xiaobai with eyes full of shock. Imo Xiaobai is a genius I've never seen before. You must have some trump cards that you haven't used, right? Seeing Ice Cream put away his weapon, Imo Xiaobai also put away his weapon. He smiled and said, "Captain Ice Cream, you flatter me. You probably didn't use your full strength either." When the two fought, Ice Cream only used a few ordinary origin skills. Imo Xiaobai did not believe that Ice Cream did not have any other origin skills. As for himself, he obviously did not use his full strength either. Whether it was the power of the blood pattern on the blood pattern heavy sword, the wild heavy strike, or the golden scale armor, he did not use any of them. It was not a life and death battle, so there was no need for that. Imo Xiaobai's words implied that he still had trump cards. Ice Cream's pupils shrank. He then smiled and shook his head. "I'm getting old. Young people these days are too scary." As he spoke, he turned to look at Li Shu, who had yet to recover from his shock. He smiled and said, "Lao Li, with Imo Xiaobai's strength, he really has a chance of killing One Eye. Why don't you let him try?" Li Shu came back to his senses and looked at Imo Xiaobai. His somewhat rough face was red. He opened his mouth and then scratched his head, saying, "Student Imo Xiaobai, I didn't expect you to be so strong. Just ignore what I said just now." Imo Xiaobai waved his hand and smiled. "I'm not angry. Li Shu, that's a normal reaction. If it were me, I wouldn't believe it either. A 2-apertured level 2 body fundamentalist could fight a 3-apertured level 1 body fundamentalist. If it were him in the past, he would not have believed it either." Li Shu and the onlookers could only say that it was the reaction of normal people. Seeing Imo Xiaobai being so generous, Li Shu's face turned even redder. He looked embarrassed. "Student Imo Xiaobai, as long as you help me kill One Eye, I'll go out and help you catch a ship of precious transcendent fish." The onlookers on the side also looked embarrassed. They never thought that Imo Xiaobai's strength would actually be formidable to such an extent, as expected of Akatsuki's favored one. Imo Xiaobai is so strong. Heroes come from young. Student Imo Xiaobai, this is my name card. I hope to work with a genius like you in the future. This is my name card. Most of the people here were from small shops or large financial groups. After seeing Imo Xiaobai's strength, they naturally shamelessly handed over their name cards. Businessmen pursued profits. To them, getting a genius youth as a client was a profitable business. Mo Xiaobai did not refuse and kept everyone's name cards. Who knew if they would be useful in the future? Speaking of which, Tongsu was the successor of the Half Moon Financial Group. If there were any problems in the future, they could contact Tongsu. Just as these people were trying to get close to Mo Xiaobai, Lu Qing squeezed over with two healers in white robes. The healers are here. Move aside. Hearing this, the crowd dispersed. After the two healers squeezed into the crowd, their expressions changed when they saw the injuries on the crew members, especially the unconscious young man on the ground. One of the elven healers came to the heavily injured man. Emerald light flashed in his hands and entered the young man's body, starting to treat him. The other mermaid healer used water elemental healing to treat the others. When the healers started their treatment, Lu Qing felt that the atmosphere was not right. He walked over and asked curiously what happened. Mo Xiaobai smiled and said, "It's nothing. I just wanted to hunt down Cyclops, so something happened." Hunt down Cyclops. Lu Qing's eyes widened. There was still some confusion and shock in his eyes, the same reaction as Du Ling and the others. Yes, Mo Xiaobai nodded. This, Lu Qing's mouth twitched. He looked at Mo Xiaobai and said, "The Murphy brothers are rank 2, rank 6 Murlocs. Do you want to reconsider?" Before Mo Xiaobai could say anything, Du Ling said, "Captain, Mr. Mo is very strong. He fought to a draw with Vice Captain Ice Cream." As she spoke, she looked at Mo Xiaobai with a complicated gaze. Lu Qing. When he heard Du Ling's words, he was dumbfounded. He fought to a draw with Vice Captain Ice Cream? That three-apertured Vice Captain Ice Cream? Yes, Captain. How about Vice Captain Ice Cream? Lubin could not help but roll his eyes. Lu Qing, he looked at Mo Xiaobai. His eyes were full of shock. Mo Xiaobai smiled and said, "It's just normal strength." Everyone, they always felt that the normal in Mo Xiaobai's eyes was different from theirs. After a while, the mermaid healer stood up. The wounds on the crew members that he treated had basically disappeared. Other than their pale faces, they were fine. He exhaled slightly and said to the cold-faced Uncle Li, "It's fine now." Li Shu heaved a sigh of relief and nodded at the mermaid healer. "Thank you, Dr. Lin." The mermaid healer shook his head and looked at Li Shu's wounds. "You're quite badly injured too. Let me treat you." "Thank you." The mermaid healer nodded and started treating Li Shu. Not long after, the elf healer stood up too. The heavily injured youth's face regained some color, and he slowly opened his eyes. "You're fine now. However, you lost too much blood and are mentally exhausted. You need to rest for a few days." Hearing this, Li Shu nodded and finally smiled. "Thank you, Dr. Lin." "You're welcome." Then, Li Shu paid the treatment fee and the two healers left. After the two healers left, the most heavily injured youth looked at Mo Xiaobai with a fanatical expression. Then, he looked at Li Shu and said, "Captain, let's go now and kill that one-eyed bastard." The other injured crew members also had fanatical expressions. "That's right, Captain. With Mr. Mo here, we'll definitely be able to kill that bastard and avenge our brothers and sisters." Although they were heavily injured, they still saw the battle between Mo Xiaobai and Ice Cream. Mo Xiaobai was their hope of killing One-Eyed. Hearing their words, Li Shu's expression changed, and his eyes flashed with hatred. However, after seeing the pale faces of the crew members, he came back to his senses. Then, he said, "You're all too tired. Rest well tonight and set off tomorrow." "Captain," everyone cried out unwillingly. "In your current situation, if One-Eyed really comes, won't you be causing trouble for Mo Xiaobai?" Hearing this, everyone was speechless. Mo Xiaobai also smiled and said, "Why don't you all rest well and set off tomorrow?" Hearing this, Li Shu looked at Mo Xiaobai gratefully. "Mo Xiaobai, thank you very much." He was actually worried about the safety of his crew members. If they went out to sea in this condition and encountered the Murlocs, it would be too dangerous. "You're welcome." Mo Xiaobai smiled. "Then let's set off tomorrow." "Okay." Li Shu nodded. "Then I'll go prepare." Chapter 113. After deciding on the departure time, Lu Qing and the others brought Mo Xiaobai to the restaurant to have a meal. Mo Xiaobai also tasted North Ridge Town's specialties. Most of them were aquatic fish from the lake, and they tasted pretty good. After eating and drinking to his heart's content, Mo Xiaobai slept over at Lu Qing's house for the night. In fact, Du Ling had also invited Mo Xiaobai over. However, Mo Xiaobai felt that there was something wrong with the way Du Ling looked at him. He was all too familiar with that look. He was a little worried about being attacked at night. And after thinking it over, he felt that it was more appropriate to go to Lu Qing's house. The next morning, Mo Xiaobai, Lu Qing, and the others arrived at the dock. Even Li Lin and Li Jingjing had followed along. After drinking Wu Xia's healing medicine and recovering for a day, Li Lin had completely recovered. Li Shu and a few other crew members were already waiting at the dock. When they saw Mo Xiaobai and the others coming over, their eyes lit up and they went up to greet them. Student Mo Xiaobai, we're ready. We can set off at any time. Mo Xiaobai smiled and nodded. Then let's go. The few of them boarded the ship. Mo Xiaobai discovered that there was no longer the smell of blood on the ship. The black metal deck looked very clean, and it should have been cleaned yesterday. Li Shu called Mo Xiaobai and the others into the cabin to rest. Then, he called for the crew to set off. The Origin crystal reactor started to operate, and the huge fishing ship sailed out of the water and left the port. Mo Xiaobai sat in the cabin and looked out the window at the dock. Not long after, Li Shu walked in. There was a smile on his face. We set sail. We'll probably reach the area where we met One-Eyed at noon. I hope we can meet him. Mo Xiaobai. I'll have to trouble you then. Mo Xiaobai nodded. Don't worry, Li Shu. I'll do my best. The huge fishing boat sailed on the sea. Mo Xiaobai could see shadows flashing across the surface of the lake from time to time. There were also huge fish jumping out of the water. According to Li Shu's introduction, the closer one was to the center of northern Green Lake, the stronger the magical beasts in the water. The closer one was to the bottom of the lake, the stronger the magical beasts were. Fishermen like them usually fished within 100 kilometers of the shore. At most, they would not go beyond 200 kilometers. Otherwise, they might encounter very powerful magical beasts in the water. The last time they met One-Eyed was about 50 kilometers away from the shore, but it was already far away from the direction of North Ridge Town. When the sun rose above their heads, a crew member walked in and said, "Captain, we're almost at our destination." Hearing this, the spirits of Mo Xiaobai and the others shook. Mo Xiaobai stood up and said, "Let's go out and take a look." Walking out of the cabin, they saw a blue lake. There were only a few small islands in the distance. Uncle Lee's gaze swept across a few small islands. After looking at the direction, he nodded. "That's right. We met One-Eyed in this area." He ordered the crew member, "Go around the area and catch some fish." Saying this, he turned to Mo Xiaobai and smiled bitterly. "We know One-Eyed was here before, but we don't know if he left or not. We can only watch from nearby. But fishmen also eat fish. If we catch some big fish behind the boat, it might attract these beasts." Mo Xiaobai nodded, indicating that he understood. He scanned his surroundings and found that there were only some light red lines of good luck and light gray lines of bad luck floating under the lake with him as the center for about 600 meters. They should be aquatic magical beasts that weren't very dangerous. If One-Eyed was here, the lines of bad luck should be dark gray or even grayish-black. Obviously, One-Eyed wasn't in this area. The fishing boat continued to sail in the area. Mo Xiaobai found that there were some dark lines of bad luck, but they weren't at the level of a boss. After circling the area for about half an hour, they didn't find anything other than a few giant magical beasts. Mo Xiaobai pointed at the island in the distance and asked, "Could the fishmen be on the island?" Hearing Mo Xiaobai's words, Li Shu and the others were stunned. Then, Lu Qing smiled and said, "Usually, unless it's a guard or an adventurer team, the fishermen won't enter the area around the island." Why? Mo Xiaobai was confused. Because there are quite a few fishermen communities on the islands. There are quite a few of them, and they're not very dangerous. Although the guard and adventurer teams regularly clear them out, There will always be some that slip through the net. Soon, they'll reproduce and form new communities. Li Shu continued to explain. Lu Qing smiled and said, "These fishmen are like weeds. They can't be cleared out. Otherwise, the coastal towns wouldn't have such a headache." When Mo Xiaobai heard the two people's explanation, he finally understood. Although his combat power was barely at the level of a 3-chakra master, there would definitely be powerful fishmen in a community. If there were really powerful fishmen on those islands, then it would be an extra meal for them. He gave up on the idea of going to the island. After a while, the fishing boat took many detours around the area, but still didn't find anything. Mo Xiaobai and the others were disappointed. The atmosphere was silent. At this moment, Mo Xiaobai suddenly saw a few gray lines approaching quickly from the bottom of the lake. The two leading lines of bad luck were both grayish-black. Mo Xiaobai was stunned. His heart raced, and his pupils constricted. Two grayish-black lines of bad luck. He was shocked and looked at the lake in the distance cautiously. "Be careful. Something's coming." Hearing this, everyone was stunned. Then, they looked in the direction that Mo Xiaobai was looking at with vigilance. Then, they saw white waves splashing on the surface of the lake. Fish fins were faintly discernible in the white waves. Seeing this scene, everyone's body collapsed. "It's the fishmen," Lu Qing shouted. Everyone took out their weapons. Soon, the white waves approached the fishing boat. Dong dong dong. Sounds of explosions were heard. One after another, ferocious-looking fishmen jumped out of the lake and onto the deck. A total of 8 tall fishmen landed on the deck. The two leading fishmen were more than 2 meters tall and had bulging muscles. One of the fishmen had gray scales all over his body. There was a hideous wound on his left eye. His bulging right eye was moving with a ferocious gaze. He held a huge mace in his hand. The other fishman had blue scales all over his body. However, the scales on his forehead were dark black. He held 2 short swords in his hands. Behind the 2 huge fishmen, there were muscular men who were more than 8 meters tall. They were all elite fishermen warriors. Mo Xiaobai glanced at the fishermen warriors behind him. Finally, he looked at the 2 tall fishmen in the lead. His face was solemn. The lines of bad luck that wrapped around the 2 fishmen were grayish-black. The blood-veined heavy sword appeared in his hand. He held the heavy sword tightly with both hands. When Mo Xiaobai looked at the 2 fishmen in the lead, Li Shu and the rest opened their eyes wide. Their bodies trembled and their faces turned pale. It was as if they had seen something terrifying. Lu Qing opened his mouth. His voice was hoarse. "One-eyed and black scale. Why are the 2 fishmen heads moving together?" When Mo Xiaobai heard Lu Qing's words, he raised his eyebrows. The fishman with one eye was one-eyed. The other one with black scales on his forehead should be black scale, right? 2 Murloc leaders? Mo Xiaobai licked his lips. Ga. Fresh blood and flesh. Black Scale opened his bloody mouth. His slightly protruding yellow eyes swept across everyone. His eyes were filled with greed. He laughed hoarsely. One-eyed waved his mace, creating gusts of wind. He looked at Li Shu and the rest. "Barbarian, I remember you. The blood and flesh of those people yesterday. Not bad." He licked his lips. His one eye was scarlet red. Ga. The fishermen warriors behind one-eyed also opened their mouths and laughed. Hearing this, Li Shu and the rest seemed to have been stimulated. Their originally pale faces were filled with fear. Their eyes were bloodshot as they looked at one-eyed with hatred. Mo Xiaobai's gaze swept across Li Shu and the rest. He grinned and said softly, "Li Shu, Lu Qing, you guys take care of the fishmen warriors behind. Leave these 2 guys to me." Hearing Mo Xiaobai's words, Li Shu and the rest were stunned. The fishmen warriors and fishmen heads were also stunned. One-eyed and Black Scale tilted their heads. Their protruding fish eyes looked at Mo Xiaobai, as if they wanted to see what was different about Mo Xiaobai. Then, Black Scale opened his mouth. "Human, wait, I'm going to dig out your brain and eat it." One-eyed laughed even louder. Ga. Interesting human. Li Shu and the rest looked at Mo Xiaobai and opened their mouths. Their eyes were filled with worry. Then, Li Shu nodded heavily. Student Mo Xiaobai, this time it's my fault. I didn't think that there would be two fishmen heads working together. This has never happened before. Mo Xiaobai chuckled. Li Shu, what are you talking about? I accepted this bounty mission myself. Moreover, it's just two fishmen heads. He looked at the arrogant fishmen heads in the distance and pursed his lips. His eyes became even colder. Hearing Mo Xiaobai's words, Li Shu and the rest were shocked. They looked at Mo Xiaobai. Lu Qing nodded with a serious face. Murphy brothers, be careful. Seeing Mo Xiaobai's eyes, the two fishmen heads opened their eyes wide in anger. One-Eyed shouted sharply, Human, you've angered One-Eyed. It stomped its feet on the metal deck. Dong! A huge footprint was left on the thick black metal deck. His body turned into a shadow and appeared above Mo Xiaobai's head in an instant. The muscles on his right arm, which was almost as thick as Mo Xiaobai's waist, swelled. The mace in his hand smashed down towards Mo Xiaobai with a wave of qi. Violent waves of qi surged. Mo Xiaobai's hair danced in the wind. His face flashed with a hint of malevolence as he held the blood vein heavy sword tightly. Blood vein power. Wild heavy strike. A blood-red light wrapped around the blood vein heavy sword. The heavy sword met the mace head-on. Clang! A circular wave of qi surged. Lu Qing and the rest nearby were blown back a few steps. One-Eye's face changed. His huge body was blown away by the terrifying force. The mace in his hand was thrown to the side. Mo Xiaobai's expression was cold. He stepped on the ground and dragged his heavy sword towards One-Eyed. Right at this time, a blue figure streaked past Mo Xiaobai's side. Mo Xiaobai's heart trembled. His body flickered with a faint golden light. Golden scale armor. The moment the golden scale armor covered his body, a short sword slashed past Mo Xiaobai's side. Clang! The short sword and the golden scale armor collided. After a portion of its power was weakened, it slashed the golden scale armor. A white mark appeared on the golden scale armor. It wasn't cut, but the power of the short sword still entered Mo Xiaobai's body. Mo Xiaobai felt a tightness in his chest. His body flew a few meters before stabilizing. Black Scale saw this and opened his eyes wide. A trace of shock flashed through his fish eyes. It didn't cut through. Mo Xiaobai stood in place. He felt the gentle power of the life force. The pain in his chest quickly dissipated. He looked at the wide-eyed black scales and grinned. Didn't you eat? Chapter 114. Gurgle, gurgle, gurgle. Hearing Mo Xiaobai's mockery, Black Scale roared angrily and charged at Mo Xiaobai with two short swords in hand. Not far away, One-Eyed had picked up his mace when Black Scale attacked Mo Xiaobai. He weighed the mace in his hand and charged at Mo Xiaobai with a roar. Clang, clang, clang. Dong, dong, dong. Mo Xiaobai was fighting one against two and was fighting with the two fishermen leaders on the small deck. The sounds of collisions constantly rang out, and the shock waves from the collisions turned into ring-shaped waves that surged across the deck, forcing Li Shu and the other elite fisherman warriors to move closer to the edge of the deck to avoid being caught in the crossfire. At the very beginning, Mo Xiaobai was fighting one against two and was at a disadvantage. However, relying on the Golden Scale Armor origin skill, the rare-grade Golden Scale Armor, and his own breath of life, Mo Xiaobai was barely able to withstand the attacks. Although wounds appeared on his body from time to time, they healed very quickly with the help of the breath of life's recovery ability. If it really didn't work out, Mo Xiaobai would drink a bottle of flawless healing medicine. Furthermore, due to his constant injuries, his life aura was constantly circulating. Mo Xiaobai felt that his life aura was constantly increasing. His strength, speed, endurance, and even recovery ability were all becoming stronger in battle. In addition, as time passed, the two fishermen leaders had been fighting with all their strength for a period of time. Under the constant depletion of their physical strength and origin power, their attacks were no longer as fierce as before. The battle went from one where Mo Xiaobai was defending to one where both sides were beating each other up. While Mo Xiaobai was defending, he could occasionally counterattack. Dong! A muffled sound of collision rang out. Mo Xiaobai was sent flying by the mace and spat out a mouthful of blood. Meanwhile, the blood-patterned heavy sword in his hand, which was wrapped in a bloody light, had slashed Black Scale's arm. His right hand was directly separated from his body and fell to the ground with blood gushing out. Black Scale clutched his arm and screamed in pain. Mo Xiaobai also felt pain in his chest where the mace had struck him. He touched his chest with a calm expression. His sternum seemed to be broken. Don't panic. Mo Xiaobai skillfully took out a bottle of flawless healing potion and drank it. Coupled with the passive recovery effect of the breath of life, Mo Xiaobai's chest was surrounded by a warm current. The intense pain in his body quickly dissipated, and his strength began to slowly rise again. He grinned and charged at One-Eyed again with his heavy sword. One-Eyed widened his single eye, somewhat dumbfounded. This human had clearly been hit by him several times. Why was he still not down? GG wah wah. The enraged One-Eyed roared as he raised his mace and charged towards Mo Xiaobai again. Bang, bang, bang. Dong, dong, dong. After another period of collision, Mo Xiaobai could feel One-Eye's strength getting weaker and weaker. His arm was trembling slightly, as if he was unable to withstand the recoil. Even his breathing had become hurried. As for Black Scale, because he had lost his right arm, he had lost a large amount of blood. Compared to One-Eyed, his strength was weakening faster. Clang! After another collision, One-Eyed retreated a few meters, his hands trembling uncontrollably. Traces of blood flowed from his palms, and he could feel the pain. He looked at Mo Xiaobai, who was not far away, and then exchanged glances with Black Scale. He felt that something was wrong. After the two of them conversed for a while, they actually turned around and ran towards the edge of the deck. Seeing this, Mo Xiaobai was stunned, and then his eyes turned cold. Want to run? He took a step forward, and a violent strength surged within his body. Under the enhancement of the breath of life, Mo Xiaobai had been fighting for so long. Other than the slight pain in his body, he had become more energetic, and even his strength had increased. Mo Xiaobai did not care about Black Scale, and his eyes were fixed on One-Eyed. He came behind One-Eyed, and the blood-patterned heavy sword was surrounded by a bloody light. Wild heavy strike. A bloody light streaked across the air and slashed towards One-Eyed's back. Feeling the threat, One-Eyed turned around and used his mace to block above his head. Clang! The sound of collision was heard, and One-Eyed's body staggered. He could no longer hold onto his mace, and the mace was sent flying. Seeing this, Mo Xiaobai's eyes flashed coldly, and the blood-patterned heavy sword flashed with white light. 3 consecutive slashes. Chi, chi, chi. 3 rays of white light slashed One-Eyed's neck, and blood spurted out. One-Eyed widened his remaining eye, and the protruding fish eye gradually lost its light, and his body fell backwards. With a thump, he fell to the deck. Black Scale, who had run to the edge of the deck, heard the sound and turned to look. When he saw One-Eyed's corpse fall to the ground, Black Scale's eyes widened. At this moment, Mo Xiaobai turned to look at him. Black Scale's body trembled, and a trace of fear flashed through his eyes. He jumped off the deck without a word. Mo Xiaobai came to the edge of the deck and found that the ice-cold water of Beiqing Lake had gradually calmed down, and there were traces of blood on the surface of the lake. Black Scale had escaped. Mo Xiaobai did not care. This was not his goal in the first place. He turned to look in the direction of Li Shu's group, and found that Li Shu's group was staring at him in a daze. There was also the corpse of an elite mermaid warrior on the ground. As for the other mermaid warriors, they also jumped into the water when Black Scale escaped. Mo Xiaobai saw Li Shu's group's gaze and looked down at his own body. He patted his chest and grinned. Don't worry, the wounds on my body are fine. They'll heal soon. Seeing Mo Xiaobai reach out and pat his chest, the corners of Uncle Li and the others' mouths twitched and their scalps went numb. They had seen One-Eyed hit Mo Xiaobai's chest with his mace. Didn't that hurt? Was this person made of steel? Seeing Li Shu's group still in a daze, Mo Xiaobai was a bit confused but he did not think too much about it. He pointed at One-Eye's corpse and smiled. Li Shu, the mission is complete, right? One-Eyed is dead. Hearing Mo Xiao Bai's words, Li Shu's group came back to their senses. They turned to look at One-Eye's corpse on the ground. His eyes were bloodshot, and the rims were red. Everyone was silent for a bit. Then Li Shu sighed and nodded heavily. He looked at Mo Xiao Bai. Mo Xiao Bai, thank you so much. If it wasn't for you, we wouldn't have been able to get revenge. One had to know that One-Eyed and Black Scale were the two leaders of the mermaids. Even a 3-aperture level, one-body fundamentalist might not have been able to win. But Mo Xiao Bai had killed One-Eyed. Seeing Mo Xiao Bai covered in blood, everyone was in awe. Too fierce. He had suffered so many injuries, but it was like nothing had happened. After putting away One-Eye's corpse and Black Scale's severed arm, he threw the other mermaid warrior's corpse in a Beiqing lake. Li Shu called for the crew to set sail and return. In northern Blue Lake, Black Scale, who had a severed arm, was gliding through the dark waters. Behind him were 5 elite Murloc warriors. Wherever the mermaids passed, the weak aquatic creatures nearby would be alarmed and flee in panic. Black Scale's bulging eyes were full of gloominess. Behind Black Scale, an elite mermaid warrior said, Black Scale, One-Eyed is dead. What should we do? Black Scale's eyes flashed. After a moment of silence, he continued, Continue with the mission. When we return, let's report to the king. Yes. When the orange-gold sun sank into the horizon, the fishing boat stopped at the dock. Li Shu's group got off the boat. Many people on the dock looked over. The matter of Mo Xiao Bai accepting the mission to kill One-Eyed was known by everyone in the docks. Mo Xiao Bai was already rather famous in this area. After seeing the battle marks on Li Shu's group, especially the bloodstains on Mo Xiao Bai's body, everyone's eyes widened with curiosity. Laoli, you guys seem to have experienced a fierce battle. Did you really encounter One-Eyed again? Someone asked curiously. Everyone listened carefully. Hearing this, Uncle Li grinned, and his thick beard shook a little. He didn't say anything. He waved his right hand, and a huge corpse fell heavily on the dock. After seeing the corpse, the crowd was stunned. Then there was a series of gasps. Everyone's eyes widened as they looked at One-Eye's bulging dead fish eye. One-Eyed, someone exclaimed. Wow, everyone was in an uproar. It's really One-Eyed? You guys really hunted One-Eyed? Everyone turned to look at Mo Xiao Bai. Their eyes were still filled with shock. Uncle Li patted his beer belly and puffed out his chest with a smug look on his face. It's not just One-Eyed. As he said that, he took out a blue arm. Everyone was puzzled. This is Black Scale's arm. Lu Qing laughed and explained. This time, we didn't just encounter One-Eyed. We also encountered Black Scale, 2 Murlocs. If it wasn't for the Murphy brothers' strength, we would have been finished. He was excited as he talked about the battle. It was as if he was the one who was fighting. Mo Xiao Bai looked at the excited Lu Qing and couldn't help but laugh. He didn't expect this barbarian brother to have a talent for bragging. Soon, Ice Cream came over with a group of guards. After seeing One-Eye's corpse on the ground, he wasn't particularly surprised. After all, he had fought with Mo Xiao Bai before. He knew Mo Xiao Bai's strength the best. He came in front of Li Shu and the others. When he saw the bloodstains on Mo Xiao Bai's body, his pupil shrank. Then he asked, Captain Li, is what Lu Qing said true? Black Scale and One-Eyed really work together? Laoli nodded and said with a sigh, It's true. If it wasn't for Mo Xiao Bai's bloody battle, we wouldn't have been able to escape. Hearing this, Bing Ling let out a sigh of relief. After a moment of silence, he said, I understand. I will report this matter to the commander. For North Mountain Town, the Murloc's movements were of utmost importance. Fishing was a major source of income for North Mountain Town. If anything happened to the Murlocs, it would be a huge loss for North Mountain Town. Moreover, what if the Murlocs attacked North Mountain Town? These were all things that needed to be considered. Okay, Li Shu nodded and understood the seriousness of the situation. Ice Cream nodded and smiled at Mo Xiao Bai. Mo Xiao Bai, you were able to fight against 2 Murlocs by yourself. You even managed to kill and cripple one of the Murlocs' leaders. This battle strength really makes me blush with shame. Mo Xiaobai smiled embarrassedly. Captain Ice Cream, you're too kind. You're also very strong. Ice Cream couldn't help but smile. It had to be said that Mo Xiaobai's humble attitude made people have a good impression of him. You just went through a big battle. I'm sure you're tired. I won't disturb you anymore. I also have to report this to the captain. At this point, Bing Ling's brows furrowed, and her eyes were filled with distress. Then, he said goodbye to Mo Xiaobai and the others and turned to leave the pier with his team. Mo Xiaobai and the others didn't pay attention to the reactions of the people at the pier and left. Only Lu Qing was still unsatisfied. At night, everyone went to Li Shu's house. Li Shu personally made a table of delicious original dishes. Mo Xiaobai didn't expect that Li Shu was not only a master fisherman, but also an original chef. After eating and drinking, Li Shu gave all the fish to Mo Xiaobai. Mo Xiaobai didn't ask for anything else. He only asked for 5 tigerfish and the white-scaled fish. The other fish added together weren't as valuable as these 6 fish. Needless to say, the tiger-striped fish, according to Uncle Lee's introduction, could increase one's mental strength after eating the white-scaled fish. It would also increase one's mental resistance. Spiritual resistance was very important, especially when facing demons. Mo Xiaobai knew this very well. After leaving Li Shu's house, it was already very late. Mo Xiaobai stayed the night at Lu Qing's house. Early the next morning, he changed into the clean golden scale armor and rode on the red mane horse. He bid farewell to Lu Qing and the others who came to send him off. They exchanged communication marks and could contact each other at any time. On the way back, Mo Xiaobai still walked along northern Green Lake. When he passed through the forest, Mo Xiaobai saw a dark gray line of misfortune in the distance. There were also several light gray lines of misfortune. He raised his eyebrows and sighed. He didn't expect there to be such powerful aquatic magical beasts at the border. He didn't plan on going there. Instead, he continued on his original path and moved towards the Akatsuki Academy. After Mo Xiaobai left on the red mane horse, Black Scale and a few elite Murloc warriors poked their heads out of the water. They looked at Mo Xiaobai's back with fear in their eyes. I didn't expect the human to pass by here. He almost saw us. Yeah, what if he saw us? Will he come after us? One of the elite Murlocs spoke in a strange language and let out a sigh of relief. As soon as he finished speaking, Heilin slapped him on the head and glared at him fiercely. Continue to look for her. If you don't complete the king's mission, I, Black Scale, will skin you alive. How dare you mention the human in front of me? You're asking for death. Oh, yes. When Mo Xiaobai returned to the Akatsuki Academy, it was already afternoon. Mo Xiaobai came to the small steed rental shop. When the middle-aged barbarian saw Mo Xiaobai, he was stunned for a moment before grinning. Oh, it's you. You're back so soon? Did you not complete the mission? Mo Xiaobai. Why did it feel like he didn't complete the mission? He smiled and said, I've completed the mission. The barbarian's eyes widened. So soon? Yes. I'm here to return the steed. The barbarian took the contract crystal from Mo Xiaobai and smiled. I'll rent it for 2 days. 100 academic credits. Mo Xiaobai paid the credits generously, not feeling any heartache at all. He was about to become a tycoon with 50,000 academic credits. With that in mind, Mo Xiaobai walked straighter. Chapter 115. After returning the mount, Mo Xiaobai returned to his dorm. After taking a shower, Mo Xiaobai lay on his soft bed and sighed comfortably. He took out his communication crystal. Mo Xiaobai hadn't been able to open it for the past 2 days because he was busy with missions. However, he received a few messages. Mo Yu and Mu Yuzhu each sent a message, saying that they had just returned from an adventure and that they had gained quite a lot. They also asked him how he was doing in school. Their messages were similar. Mo Xiaobai didn't understand why they didn't send just one message. Wouldn't it be more relaxing? However, he still replied to both of them and told them about his situation in school. He didn't mention the danger of the collection mission. It was all in the past, and it was unnecessary to mention it. Mulin also sent him a few messages, saying that his strength had improved greatly and that he had reached level 20 in the battle tower. Mo Xiaobai was a little surprised. It seemed that Mulin's strength had improved greatly. Mo Xiaobai sent a message to congratulate him. At the same time, he was also curious if he could pass level 20. Compared to his current strength of 3 orifices, level 1, he should have a chance. However, the rewards for ranking on the leaderboard would only be given at the end of the month, so he wasn't in a hurry. Mo Xiaobai looked at the time. There was a history class tomorrow. After he gave the tiger fish to Meng Sensei, he would use the 50,000 academic credits to cultivate. It would be the same for him to challenge the leaderboard at the end of the month. The next morning, in the history class, Meng Cheng stood on the podium and started talking about the history of the Northern Blue region. Based on the maps from ancient times, we can determine that the geography of the Northern Blue region is quite different from that of ancient times. For example, the largest lake in the Northern Blue region, Northern Blue Lake, didn't exist in ancient times. According to the maps from ancient times, the area around Northern Blue Lake was a grassland. Mo Xiaobai listened to Mengqing's explanation and was a little surprised. He had just been to Northern Blue Lake. It was a huge lake that stretched as far as the eye could see. It didn't exist in ancient times? Teacher, how did Northern Green Lake come about? A student raised his hand and asked. Everyone was curious. Hearing the question, Mengqing was silent for a moment, then smiled and said, "It could be a geological change, or it could be a natural disaster from the astral boundary, or it could be caused by a battle between powerhouses." Hearing this, everyone's eyes widened. Can a battle between experts form such a huge lake? Everyone was shocked. Mengqing's gaze swept across the crowd, and he slowly opened his mouth. A strong enough body fundamentalist is far more powerful than you can imagine. Mo Xiaobai was shaken. How could a battle between body fundamentalists create such a vast lake? What kind of power was this? He yearned for it. Soon, the 1-hour class was over. Everyone left the classroom with some dissatisfaction. Mo Xiaobai caught up with Mengqing. Meng Sensei, wait. Meng Cheng was stunned. He turned his head to look at Mo Xiaobai and said with a smile, "What's wrong, Xiaobai?" Mo Xiaobai smiled and said, "I've already collected the tiger fish you asked me to collect last time." Hearing Mo Xiaobai's words, Mengqing was taken aback. That fast? Uh-huh. Mo Xiaobai smiled and recounted what happened at Northern Green Lake. Mengqing adjusted his gold-rimmed glasses and smiled. The merfolk are indeed a big problem for the residents near Northern Green Lake. However, it's not realistic to completely deal with them. Mo Xiaobai nodded. He understood this very well. Follow me to my office. Mengqing didn't say anything else about the merfolk. He called Mo Xiaobai to his office. Mengqing's office was on the top floor of the school building. It was quite large, about 50 square meters. The layout was similar to Mengqing's study. It was filled with bookshelves. The bookshelves were filled with all kinds of history books and information. There were also some small objects dug up from ruins. Mo Xiaobai looked around and saw the yellowed pages on Mengqing's desk. It was the diary of King Ming that Mo Xiaobai had seen last time. Clearly, Mengqing was still working hard to translate the diary. Mo Xiaobai took out 5 tigerfish and handed them to Mengqing. The tigerfish were about 1 meter tall. They were covered in yellow scales and black stripes. Mengqing looked at the tigerfish and smiled. Not bad, very fresh. He put away the tigerfish and said, "It's still early. Why don't you stay here for a while and eat with me?" Mo Xiaobai smiled and shook his head. "It's okay, Meng Sensei. I have other things to do." Mengqing didn't insist. He smiled and nodded. "Okay, I'll transfer the credits to you." After receiving 50,000 credits, Mo Xiaobai was satisfied. He said goodbye to Mengqing and went to the experiment area. After the battle with One Eye and Black Scale, Mo Xiaobai's golden scale armor had a lot of holes. If he didn't repair it now, he felt that its defense had dropped a lot. After entering Natsuki's small building, Mo Xiaobai looked around. Maybe because it was morning, there were no customers in the shop. However, Natsuki and Su Yin were placing all kinds of medicine on the counter. Xiaodong Mu was still wearing a white gown, looking as gentle as water. Su Yin, on the other hand, looked sleepy, stretching from time to time and yawning without a care for her image. Mu-sensei, Senior Su. Mo Xiaobai smiled and greeted them. After seeing Mo Xiaobai, Su-in turned around. Xiaobai, didn't you go out to do a mission? You're back so soon? Could it be that he escaped back here? Ha ha. Su-in seemed to imagine Mo Xiaobai's expression when he escaped and laughed without caring about his image. Natsuki flipped her long green hair and smiled. Did you fail the mission? Do you need my help? Mo Xiaobai smiled and said, No need, Mu-sensei. I've already completed the mission. Su-yin's smile froze when she heard Mo Xiaobai's words. Her eyes widened. So soon? I was lucky. Mo Xiaobai smiled and said. Natsuki and Su-yin's mouths twitched when they heard Mo Xiaobai say that he was lucky. Su-yin rubbed her forehead. Stop. I don't want to hear you talk about how lucky you are. Mo Xiaobai shrugged. Okay, I want to talk about it. Since you've completed the mission, Xiaobai, are you here to test the medicine? Natsuki's eyes sparkled. Mo Xiaobai laughed dryly and said, My armor is broken. I'm here to ask Su-yin to fix it. As he spoke, Mo Xiaobai took out the golden scale armor. Su-yin took the armor and saw the cracks on it. She raised her eyebrows and looked at Mo Xiaobai in surprise. What kind of opponents did you meet? They're not weak to be able to break the golden scale armor like this. 2 apertured level 6 Murloc leaders. Mo Xiaobai smiled and didn't hide it. 2 apertured level 6 Murloc leaders? Su-yin and Natsuki were both stunned. Yeah. Mo Xiaobai nodded and said with a smile, I accepted a mission to kill one of the Murloc leaders. I didn't expect to meet 2 at the same time. I killed one and the other escaped. Su-yin raised her eyebrows and looked at Mo Xiaobai in surprise. Xiaobai, you're really strong. No wonder you're this year's top scorer. It seems like it'll be difficult for Yin Shui to surpass you. Natsuki also looked at Mo Xiaobai curiously and said with a smile, Xiaobai is really strong. It's all thanks to Mu-sensei's flawless healing potion. Mo Xiaobai said with a smile. Previously, in order to kill One Eye and Black Scale, he had used a total of 5 healing potions. Without those healing potions, Mo Xiaobai might not have been able to defeat them. It's just a little help. Natsuki smiled and flipped her long green hair. She narrowed her eyes and said with a smile, If Xiaobai feels bad, you can come and try more potions. Mo Xiaobai, he changed the topic. Senior, can you fix it? No problem. Give me 500 credits. Su-yin flipped through the armor and said casually. Mo Xiaobai transferred the credits to Su-yin. Su-yin said, You can come and get them tomorrow. Mo Xiaobai nodded. Then he thought of something and said, By the way, I also obtained 2 tiger-striped fish and a white-scaled fish from this mission. I wonder if any of you are familiar with original food chefs? It's my treat. Take it as a thank you for taking care of me. Su-yin and Natsuki had helped him. Naturally, he had to repay them. It was a basic exchange of favors. Although tigerfish and white-scaled fish were not as precious as flawless healing potions, he still had to show his sincerity. Tigerfish and white-scaled fish. Su-yin's eyes lit up. I haven't eaten them in a long time. I'm in luck today. She came over and patted Mo Xiaobai like they were good friends. She said in a low voice, Xiaobai, let me tell you a secret. Tong Tong is not only an alchemist, but she's also a very good original food chef. Don't tell anyone else. I don't usually tell people. Mo Xiaobai looked at Natsuki in surprise. Natsuki smiled gently. Processing original food and alchemy are similar in nature, so I learned it along the way. Mo Xiaobai, she was a monster. Learned it along the way. How many people couldn't learn it along the way? Also, Natsuki's tea-making skills were quite good. Mo Xiaobai liked Natsuki's Ling Wu tea very much. Senior sister, you're really multi-talented. Mo Xiaobai couldn't help but sigh. Hearing this, Mo Xiaobai realized that Su-yin was glaring at him. Brat, what are you trying to do? Let me tell you, Tong Tong is mine. Don't you dare have any dirty thoughts. Otherwise, Su-yin waved her fist at Mo Xiaobai and put on a fierce look. Mo Xiaobai, Natsuki also rolled her eyes and smiled awkwardly. Xiaobai, don't listen to Yo-Yo's nonsense. Wow, Tong Tong, are you going to fall in love with someone else? Suin stared at Natsuki in shock and disbelief. Natsuki rubbed her forehead and was speechless. She didn't reply. She said to Mo Xiaobai, give me the fish. You and Yo-Yo wait for a while. Oh, okay. Mo Xiaobai nodded quickly and passed the tigerfish and white-scaled fish to Natsuki. After Natsuki's performance, Mo Xiaobai realized that Suin had been glaring at him angrily. It made his scalp tingle. This senior was probably joking, right? It had to be said that Natsuki's original food chefs were also very skilled. Spicy grilled fish, sweet and sour fish, steamed fish, sour and spicy fish, fish soup, and so on. All kinds of dishes were served on the dining table. Every dish was shining with a blue glow. They were all rare-grade, original food. Mo Xiaobai exclaimed in his heart. Let's eat. Natsuki sat down and said with a smile. Suin and Mo Xiaobai couldn't wait to dig in. Mo Xiaobai realized that after eating the tigerfish, a warm current spread from his abdomen to his entire body. His physical strength improved to a certain extent. After eating the white-scaled fish, he felt a chill between his brows. His mind became clearer, and he became more energetic. It was indeed a rare-grade, original food. Mo Xiaobai exclaimed in his heart, but his chopsticks didn't stop moving. So spicy, so spicy. Suyin's face turned red after eating a piece of spicy fish. She couldn't stop breathing, and tears came out her eyes. Mo Xiaobai was speechless. Was it that spicy? He felt that it was average. At that moment, Natsuki handed over a bowl of light fish soup. Drink it. Suin quickly took the fish soup and drank a few mouthfuls before exhaling in satisfaction. Natsuki didn't care about Suin and started eating gracefully. However, Mo Xiaobai realized that Natsuki would put the spicy fish slices in the soup when she drank it. She would only drink it happily when the milky white soup had a hint of red in it. Mo Xiaobai was speechless. Was there such a way to drink? He realized that their tastes were completely different from their personalities. Suin couldn't eat spicy food, but Natsuki seemed to like spicy food. Every time Suin saw Natsuki enjoying the spicy food, she liked to try it again. Then, she would continue to cry because of the spicy food. Meanwhile, Natsuki would silently add more fish soup for Suin. Mo Xiaobai even suspected that Natsuki had prepared the light fish soup for Suin. After finishing the meal, Mo Xiaobai felt that his origin power was full. Both his physical and mental strength had improved by quite a bit. After bidding farewell to Suin and Natsuki, he went to the gravity room and cultivation room to cultivate while he was still accumulating origin power. The next day, Mo Xiaobai went to Suin and Natsuki again at noon to retrieve his golden scale armor. At the same time, he had a meal there and finished eating the tigerfish and white-scale fish. After eating, Mo Xiaobai tried the medicine again. Because there were no more medicine with a shallow line of misfortune, Mo Xiaobai could only choose medicine with a deeper line of misfortune. Although his whole body hurt after drinking the medicine, it allowed Mo Xiaobai's life force to circulate on its own, and his body began to grow stronger. Drinking medicine to get injured was also a kind of injury. After testing the medicine, Mo Xiaobai obtained another 10,000 credits. His total credits were now more than 60,000, enough for him to cultivate for quite a while. With so many credits, Mo Xiaobai felt a little bloated. He went to the force cultivation chamber and immediately opened the level 3 cultivation room, the kind that cost 1,000 credits per hour. However, it had to be said that the effect was much better than the level 2 cultivation room. Moreover, the origin power was more gentle, and he could even cultivate for 2 hours straight. As for the gravity room, Mo Xiaobai still chose the level 1. After all, 5 times the normal gravity had a significant effect on him. It wasn't too late to change to the level 2 after he had completely adapted to the 5 times gravity. As such, Mo Xiaobai's life became quite regular in the following days. During the day, he would go to the origin and gravity rooms to cultivate. At noon, He would think of a way to get a free meal from Natsuki. If that didn't work, he would go to the cafeteria. In the afternoon, he would go to the Bledej Mountains. On one hand, it was to fight, and on the other, it was to earn credits. Mo Xiaobai actually had another thought, and that was to see if there were any void treasures in the Bledej Mountains. If there were, then it would be a great profit. Chapter 116. At the end of September, the blazing sun hung high in the sky. The Akatsuki Academy, which was located in the center of the Azure continent and was not far from the Tianju Peak, was bathed in the blazing sun. Mo Xiaobai arrived at the battle tower area and realized that the number of people in the square outside the battle tower was much higher than the first time he came. He was not surprised. After all, it was the end of the month, and the rankings were fixed at the end of the month. The top students would be rewarded with credits. Most students would work hard to cultivate and only enter the battle tower at the end of the month. Mo Xiaobai swept his gaze over and saw a familiar figure in the crowd. Neat short black hair and a slender figure. Wearing the Akatsuki uniform, she looked clean and fresh. Just looking at her back was very attractive. Mo Xiaobai walked over and greeted her with a smile. Yin Shui, what a coincidence. Yin Shui turned her head. Her icy blue eyes were like a calm lake. After seeing Mo Xiaobai, there was a slight ripple in her eyes. She nodded yes. After a moment of silence, her face was filled with fighting spirit. She said softly, "This time, I will surpass you." Mo Xiaobai felt a strong sense of confidence from Yin Shui. He smiled. "That depends on the result." Yin Shui nodded lightly and did not say anything else. When the two of them were talking, many people around them turned their heads to look at them. Mo Xiaobai and Yin Shui were both first and second in the freshman battle ranking. Their talents were outstanding among the students of previous years. Naturally, they attracted attention. At this moment, a clear voice sounded. "Open, open. Today is the end of the month. Same old rules. You can bet on the battle ranking every year. You can't bet on yourself." Mo Xiaobai heard this familiar voice. He had a strange expression and turned his head to look. He realized that Tongsu was with a few people and was shouting. There was a device in front of him, and there seemed to be something written on it. Mo Xiaobai was standing too far away, so he couldn't see it clearly. He couldn't help but walk over. When Tongsu, who was shouting, saw Mo Xiaobai, his blood-red and purplish eyes lit up. The corners of his mouth curled up, revealing a somewhat frivolous smile. "Yo, Junior Xiaobai, long time no see. Do you want to bet?" Mo Xiaobai glanced at the screen and realized that there were people betting on the rankings from the first grade to the sixth grade. The first grade included Mo Xiaobai himself, Yin Shui, and a few of the lower-ranked students. As for the senior students, Mo Xiaobai only recognized the fourth-grade students Tongsu, Natsuki, and Suin. He didn't know anyone else. What made him a little disappointed was that the names on the screen didn't cause any changes in the white light. He smiled and said, "Senior Tongsu, I'll pass." Tongsu didn't insist. He only grinned and continued shouting. The challengers in the battle tower kept coming out. The people in the square entered the battle tower. Soon, it was Mo Xiaobai and Yin Shui's turn. Yin Shui glanced at Mo Xiaobai. Her icy blue eyes flashed with battle intent. Mo Xiaobai smiled at her. Yin Shui turned her head back. After the two of them entered, many of the candidates waiting for the challenge revealed expressions of anticipation. Mo Xiaobai and Yin Shui went in. Those two guys. They're freaks among the freshmen. Even in the history of the school, they're considered extremely strong. Right? That exaggerated? You don't know? A week ago, someone saw Yin Shui kill a level 7 level 2 Blade Peak patroller in the Blade Peak Mountains. SSS. Is that true? Of course it's true. No one knows how strong Mo Xiaobai is now. However, when he first entered the school, he went out to do a collection mission. What the F asterisk CK? Are you kidding me? A freshman going out to do a collection mission? Is it that exaggerated? That's not all. Wasn't the North Qing Lake a little chaotic recently? I went to North Ridge Town to do a mission a few days ago. I heard about this too. It's even more exaggerated than you think. What happened? What did Mo Xiaobai do? I heard that the last time Imo Xiaobai went out to sea with a fisherman to do an off-campus mission, they encountered two level 6 Murloc leaders. Level 2 Murloc leaders. I remember that Imo Xiaobai was only level 2 with 2 apertures. How did he survive that? Survived? Buffed. You underestimate Imo Xiaobai. One of the Murloc leaders was killed by Imo Xiaobai, while the other had its right arm chopped off. It jumped into the lake and ran away. The atmosphere in the square instantly became silent. Everyone widened their eyes in disbelief. 2 apertures level 2 facing 2 level 6 level 2 Murloc leaders. One killed and the other ran away. Isn't this too ridiculous? Is this something a human can do? That's why Imo Xiaobai and Yin Shui are probably on par with the 4th years. Their performance this time will definitely exceed all of our expectations. Everyone turned to look in the direction of the battle tower. Imo Xiaobai entered the battle tower and directly appeared on the 16th level. He had already passed the previous levels and would not appear again. In the spacious room, the huge black scorpion was now in front of Imo Xiaobai. Hiss! When the black scorpion saw Imo Xiaobai, it roared and waved its 2 huge black pincers, charging towards Imo Xiaobai. Whoosh! Its right pincer smashed towards Imo Xiaobai, causing the wind to howl. When a huge pincer was close to Imo Xiaobai reached out his right hand and grabbed the huge pincer. Then, he reached out and exerted force. As the black armored scorpion hissed in fear, he lifted it up with one hand and smashed it onto the ground. Donk! With a muffled sound, the black scorpion's body collided with the ground, and its hard black armor cracked on the spot. Imo Xiaobai raised his hand again and smashed it down. Dong dong dong. After a few consecutive hits, the black scorpion's vitality dissipated, turning into white light and disappearing. A mechanical sound rang out, indicating that Imo Xiaobai had passed the 16th level and received the reward of 600 academic credits. On the 17th level, his opponent was a huge red ant, the red steel ant, with a cultivation level of rank 2, level 7. As soon as the red steel ant appeared, Imo Xiaobai smashed its head with a single punch. On the 18th and 19th levels, Imo Xiaobai cleanly killed his opponents with a single punch. Soon, Imo Xiaobai arrived at the 20th level. As soon as he entered the 20th level, Imo Xiaobai felt a violent wind blowing. He looked around and found that he had arrived at a wasteland. The wasteland only had a radius of a few hundred meters. About 100 meters away from him, there was a ferocious-looking grayish-white demon that was about 1.5 meters tall. It had 2 sharp blades on its arms and a single horn on its head. Blade Imp Imo Xiaobai was no stranger to Blade Imp. There were quite a few of them in the Blade Peak Mountains. A week ago, when he had broken through to rank 3, level 2, he had already gone hunting for them. The 2 arms of the demon in front of him were grayish-brown, indicating that it was an elite Blade Imp at the peak of rank 2. Roar! Blade Imp saw Imo Xiaobai and let out a low roar. A purplish-black mist surged in its eyes, and an evil aura spread out. Its petite body turned into a grayish-white blur and rushed towards Imo Xiaobai. Imo Xiaobai was expressionless. He took a step to the left and slashed horizontally with the blood-patterned heavy sword in his hand. Chi! Blade Imp passed by Imo Xiaobai. Blade Imp's head was separated from its body, and it turned into white light and disappeared in the air. The reward for passing the 20th floor was 4,500 credits. Imo Xiaobai was elated. During this period of time, his cultivation had increased, so naturally, the credits he earned had increased by a lot. He could earn about 2,000 credits a day. On a good day, he could earn close to 3,000 credits. If he found some rare materials, he could earn even more. However, it was still not enough. Just 2 hours in a level 3 cultivation room cost 2,000 credits. Then, after breaking through to rank 3, level 2, he started using the level 2 gravity room. It cost 1,000 credits an hour and a few thousand credits a day. It was simply not enough. Even if he went to test medicine frequently, he only had a little more than 10,000 credits left. Thinking about it, Imo Xiaobai's eyes became moist. He was too poor. Mo Xiao Bai went up to the 21st floor. In the spacious room, a white light flashed and his opponent appeared. It was a huge blood-red wolf with a shoulder height of 6 meters. Mo Xiao Bai looked at the blood-red blood wolf, which was filled with a bloodthirsty aura. His pupils shrank, and he was a little surprised. A level 1-3 apertures elite magical beast. This, the 21st floor, was considered an elite? Before he could finish his thoughts, the blood wolf had already roared and turned into a blood-red light, rushing towards him. So fast, Mo Xiao Bai's pupils shrank, and he dodged to the side. Chi! The sharp wolf claws slashed a few inches in front of Mo Xiao Bai's body. The wind pressure whistled, and the momentum was astonishing. Mo Xiao Bai's heavy sword slashed down with a blood-red light. Wild heavy strike. The blood wolf's body twisted strangely in the air and dodged Mo Xiao Bai's attack. Then, its body suddenly flashed with a blood-red light, and its speed increased again. After landing, it turned around and pounced towards Mo Xiao Bai again. Mo Xiao Bai's pupils shrank, and he blocked with his heavy sword. Streaks of blood-red claws clawed at the heavy sword. Clang, clang, clang. A series of clanging sounds accompanied by frightening strength forced Mo Xiao Bai to retreat step by step. His arms and palms were in pain from the frightening strength. As expected of a level 3 elite magical beast, both its strength and speed were frightening. Moreover, it even had a wild origin skill. Mo Xiao Bai activated his breath of life and recovered the piercing pain in his palms and arms. At the same time, his body suddenly leaned backwards, and the blood wolf, who was in the middle of a charging attack, pounced over him. Mo Xiao Bai's legs kicked upwards towards the blood wolf's abdomen. Boom! A muffled sound followed by the blood wolf's miserable cry. The blood wolf's body was kicked into the air by Mo Xiao Bai's violent strength. When he landed, the heavy sword in Mo Xiao Bai's hand flashed with a blood-red light once again. Wild heavy strike. The heavy sword slashed towards the blood wolf's waist. The blood wolf's eyes flashed with a ruthless aura. Its body twisted strangely once again, and its two blood-red claws slashed towards the heavy sword. Clang! Blood wolf's body was sent flying, leaving a trail of blood in the air. After landing, the blood wolf coughed up a mouthful of blood. It crouched slightly and looked at Mo Xiao Bai cautiously. Mo Xiao Bai let out a sigh of relief. Its strength and speed were frightening, but its defense didn't seem to be particularly strong. There was still a fight to be had. His eyes hardened as he stomped his feet on the ground. Boom! His body charged forward, the heavy sword flashing with a white light. 3 streaks of white light appeared in the air, attacking the blood wolf. The blood wolf's body flashed nimbly, easily dodging the 3 consecutive slashes and counterattacking at the same time. For a moment, the silhouettes of man and wolf flashed within the spacious room, occasionally colliding with each other. The blood wolf's speed was much faster than Mo Xiao Bai's, and Mo Xiao Bai was almost completely suppressed. Fortunately, however, his defense wasn't weak. With the golden scale armor activated, coupled with his powerful physical ability and broad heavy sword, he was able to block most of the attacks. Only a few insignificant attacks landed on his body. These injuries were slowly being healed by Mo Xiao Bai's life force. Thus, even though his body was full of wounds, they weren't as serious as he had imagined. It was just that his speed couldn't keep up with the blood wolf's, and most of his attacks were dodged. This made Mo Xiao Bai feel somewhat sullen. His speed origin skill was an elite-grade fleet-foot origin skill, so it was somewhat of a hindrance. He calmed himself down, steadily defending while looking for an opportunity to counterattack. However, as time passed, Mo Xiao Bai still hadn't found an opportunity. The blood wolf's movements suddenly changed, and its speed slowed down. Mo Xiao Bai was startled at first, but then he remembered the kick from before. It seemed that the damage from that kick had affected the blood wolf quite a bit. After a short moment, after another collision, the blood wolf staggered. Mo Xiao Bai seized the opportunity to step forward, landing a wild heavy strike on the blood wolf's waist severely injuring it. Then he followed it up with a triple slash, killing it. After killing the blood wolf, Emo Xiaobai let out a small breath, feeling somewhat tired. A rank 3, rank 1 elite-grade magical beast was much harder to deal with than the two merfolk leaders from before. After all, the speed of those two merfolk leaders was far inferior to this guy's. The reward for the 21st floor was 1,000 credits. Emo Xiaobai continued up, arriving at the 22nd floor. With a flash of white light, a black demon with goat horns and extremely thick arms appeared. It was about 1.8 meters tall, and its entire body was black. The giant arm demon. Rank 3, rank 2, elite grade. After seeing Emo Xiaobai, the giant arm demon's purple-black eyes flashed with malice. It roared and directly charged at him. Almost in the next moment, the giant arm demon had already appeared in front of Emo Xiaobai. Its iron-black giant arm clenched into a fist and heavily smashed towards Emo Xiaobai. Emo Xiaobai didn't even have time to dodge, so he could only raise his blood-patterned heavy sword. Dong! Emo Xiaobai's body flew backwards, spitting out a mouthful of blood. His chest felt a little stuffy. So strong. After that attack, the giant arm demon charged at him again. Emo Xiaobai's scalp went numb, and he hurriedly shouted, "Withdraw from the challenge." With a flash of white light, Emo Xiaobai appeared outside the battle tower. After Emo Xiaobai came out, everyone on the square turned to look in the direction of the battle rankings. On the battle ranking, Emo Xiaobai's name was still in first place. However, the challenge column had changed to the 22nd floor. Everyone was stunned when they saw the number of floors. Their eyes widened in shock. 22nd floor? It's fake, right? In other words, even the rank 3, rank 1 elite grade blood wolf is not his opponent. Everyone was stunned. This battle strength was simply ridiculous. At this time, another flash of white light appeared, right next to Emo Xiaobai. Emo Xiaobai looked and saw that it was Yin Shui. Yin Shui's appearance was even worse than Emo Xiaobai's. Her body was covered in blood, and there were many wounds. She couldn't even stand steadily. Seeing that Yin Shui was about to fall backwards, Emo Xiaobai reached out to grab her arm, supporting her. Yin Shui regained her senses. She glanced at Emo Xiaobai and nodded slightly. "Thank you." Saying this, she struggled to stand up straight. Emo Xiaobai saw that she stood steadily and let go of her arm. "You're welcome." Yin Shui did not reply and turned to look at the battle ranking. Emo Xiaobai also looked over curiously. Following that, Emo Xiaobai discovered that Yin Shui's ranking did not rise. She was still in second place, and the challenge column had changed to the 21st floor. Yin Shui did not pay attention to her own level. After seeing Emo Xiaobai's level, her eyes widened in shock. "You passed the 21st floor? That blood wolf speed is so fast." Yin Shui turned to look at Emo Xiaobai. She was stunned. Her arrows had never hit before. Emo Xiaobai looked at Yin Shui's icy blue eyes and smiled as he nodded. "I was lucky. That guy's defense was not particularly strong. At the beginning of the battle, I took advantage of its carelessness and kicked it. Then, I was good at prolonged battles, so I slowly exhausted it to death. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been its opponent." He was telling the truth. If it weren't for the injury from that kick, Emo Xiaobai would have been the one exhausted to death. He couldn't even touch that guy. Yin Shui pursed her red lips, then said, "Next time, I'll definitely win next time. Good luck." Emo Xiaobai felt that it was better to encourage her, so as not to hurt her confidence. That wasn't good. Yin Shui. The corners of her mouth twitched, and she turned her head away without saying anything. "Emo Xiaobai, Yin Shui, let us heal you." The battle tower guards, the male elf and the female mermaid, smiled as they walked over. Their eyes were filled with amazement. Emo Xiaobai had reached the 22nd floor with the strength of a 2-apertured level 3. This was almost unheard of in the history of the school. Although Yin Shui had only reached the 21st floor, it was still very terrifying. Chapter 117. After the treatment, Yin Shui nodded at Emo Xiaobai and said softly, "I'll go back first." Emo Xiaobai nodded. It was obvious that the ranking this time had dealt a huge blow to Yin Shui. Mo Xiaobai looked at the rankings. Natsu Qi and Su Yin were still on the leaderboard, but they had both slipped down a few places. He turned around and looked around. The two of them hadn't come yet, so he guessed that they would probably come back later. Although he was curious about their combat strength, he didn't plan on waiting here. He bid farewell to Tang Su, who was trying to get people to place bets, and left. At the beginning of October, the first month of the leaderboard rankings came to an end. Mo Xiaobai had reached the 22nd level, so he was naturally in first place. Yin Shui was in second place, because she had reached the 21st level. In third place was a student with 2 apertures, level 1, who had only reached the 14th level. There was a huge gap between him and Mo Xiaobai and Yin Shui. As first place on the leaderboard, Mo Xiaobai received 1,000 academic credits as a reward for the month's rankings. In addition to the previous rewards, Mo Xiaobai received a total of 8,500 academic credits. His total number of academic credits had reached 20,000. However, as his cultivation increased, his expenditure of academic credits also increased. No matter what, he didn't have enough academic credits. This was because when he was fighting Bloodwolf, Mo Xiaobai had realized that his speed was too weak. He had even gone to the transaction center to look for speed-related origin skill crystals. In the end, elite speed-related origin skill crystals cost a few thousand academic credits. Rare-grade origin skill crystals cost tens of thousands to hundreds of thousands. Rare-grade origin skill crystals were even more expensive. Mo Xiaobai's 20,000 academic credits couldn't even afford a slightly better rare-grade origin skill crystal. Buying origin skill books wasn't a problem, but he had to comprehend them himself. Who knew how long that would take? The efficiency was too low. He could only give up for now. Normally, he could only continue to cultivate. When he had time, he would go to Natsu Qi's place to try out medicine. In the ranking of the battle list, the strongest among the 4th years was actually Su Yin. She had reached the 54th level with the cultivation of 5 apertures. It was simply terrifying. In second place was Tang Su, who had reached the 53rd level. In third place was Natsu Qi. Although Natsu Qi's combat ability was not as good as Tang Su and Su Yin's, it was obvious that Natsu Qi spent most of her time on alchemy. Even so, her combat ability was still so terrifying. Mo Xiaobai had to admit that Natsu Qi was the real monster. However, Natsu Qi's cooking was really delicious. Mo Xiaobai would occasionally wait until noon to test the medicine. After testing the medicine, Natsu Qi would even ask Mo Xiaobai to stay for lunch, which made him very happy. Other than testing medicine, Mo Xiaobai would go to the Blade Peak Mountains to hunt demons and beasts to earn credits. At the end of November, Mo Xiaobai had almost turned the entire Blade Peak Mountains upside down. Even so, Mo Xiaobai could not find the Void Treasure. Moreover, he had never heard of anyone finding the Void Treasure in the Blade Peak Mountains. This made Mo Xiaobai feel a little sad. It seemed that not all Void territories had Void Treasures. Fortunately, Mo Xiaobai was already mentally prepared. He was only disappointed for a few days, but he was no longer sad. Level 2 Gravity Room, 8 times gravity. Under the strong gravity, the room became very hot. Mo Xiaobai sat on the dark alloy floor. His whole body was sweating and his face was red. He struggled to support himself with both hands on the floor, trying to stand up. Crack, crack, crack. The sound of bones colliding rang out from Mo Xiaobai's body. Mo Xiaobai's veins bulged and his muscles swelled. Finally, Mo Xiaobai stood up straight. He panted and the corners of his mouth curled up, revealing a trace of a smile. I can barely use 8 times gravity. Under this gravity, the breath of life should increase even faster. His breath of life had already broken through to the 2nd level for more than 2 months. Now, the rate of increase was getting slower and slower. At this rate, he did not know how long it would take to reach the limit. However, in these 2 months, the increase was obviously huge. Mo Xiaobai's current physical strength was several times stronger than it was at the end of September. His combat strength had also increased by a large margin. Under 8 times gravity, Mo Xiaobai struggled to walk for half an hour before he could not take it anymore. He slowly turned off the gravity until it returned to normal. He felt that his body was so light that he could almost float. He stretched his body, and with a loud sound, he walked out of the gravity room. After checking out, Mo Xiaobai left the gravity building. After returning to the dormitory to take a shower, he went to Nat Su Ki's building. On the first floor of the pharmacy, there were a few senior students buying medicine. When they saw Mo Xiaobai, they looked over and nodded at Mo Xiaobai with a smile. Junior Mo Xiaobai, you're here to test medicine again? Junior Mo Xiaobai, aren't you trying too hard? Take it easy, don't cause any side effects. In these 2 months, other than Mo Xiaobai's extraordinary talent and strength, he was also famous for going to Natsu Ki to test medicine every few days. When everyone heard that Mo Xiaobai was going to test medicine every few days, they were all dumbfounded. Wasn't this a bit too much? However, when they saw how lively Mo Xiaobai was after testing medicine, they couldn't help but admire Mo Xiaobai's physical strength. He was simply inhuman. You guys, if you want to buy medicine, then buy it. If you don't, then get lost. Don't bullshit around here. Serene, who was behind the counter, shouted in dissatisfaction when she heard what everyone said. When they heard Su Yin's words, all the senior students stopped talking. They couldn't help it. After all, Su Yin was so strong. Xiaobai, you're here. Su Yin patted Mo Xiaobai's shoulder. After 2 months together, they had become more familiar with each other. Go all by yourself. Tong Tong is already waiting for you upstairs. Okay. Mo Xiaobai smiled and nodded. When he went upstairs, the door to the medicine testing room wasn't closed. Natsu Ki, who was wearing a white coat and had her long green hair tied into a high ponytail, was recording something at the table. Mo Xiaobai knocked on the door. Natsu Ki turned her head and looked over. When she saw Mo Xiaobai, she smiled gently. Xiaobai, you're here? Mo Xiaobai nodded and walked into the medicine testing room. When he came to Natsu Ki's side, he could smell the fresh and pleasant fragrance coming from Natsu Ki's body. Mu-sensei, what medicine are we testing today? Mo Xiaobai asked. You can choose these for yourself. Natsu Ki waved her hand, and a few bottles of medicine appeared on the table. Mo Xiaobai glanced at them. These few bottles of medicine had quite a bit of bad luck. At the same time, there were also quite a bit of good luck. After all, after getting injured while testing medicine, one's life force would increase to a certain extent. The reason why his life aura had increased so quickly was largely due to him frequently testing medicines. This was equivalent to a free body-refining medicine. No, it should be a body-refining medicine that cost him 10,000 academic credits. Mo Xiaobai directly chose a bottle of light purple medicine with a dark gray light around it. I'll take this bottle. Okay. Natsu Ki nodded. Mo Xiaobai came to the center of the room. After drinking the medicine, his expression changed. Then, wounds appeared on the surface of his body. Blood gushed out from the wounds. When the wounds appeared, his life force began to circulate and the wounds on the surface of his body quickly healed. Seeing this, Natsu Ki smiled and said, Xiaobai, your recovery ability is getting stronger and stronger. Mo Xiaobai was in so much pain that his body trembled. His face was pale. He grinned and said, It's all thanks to Senior's medicine. With such a strong side effect, it's hard not to become stronger after drinking it. Hearing Mo Xiaobai's words, Natsu Ki immediately glared at Mo Xiaobai. Xiaobai, how dare you laugh at me? You're getting bolder and bolder. Be careful. I'll give you a bottle of rank 3 medicine. No, Senior, please spare me. I was wrong. Oomph. Natsu Ki's lips curled into a smile. She came to Mo Xiaobai's side. Wisps of emerald light flashed on her right hand and entered Mo Xiaobai's body. After a while, she opened her eyes and came to the table to record data. Under the effects of the life force, Mo Xiaobai's wounds were no longer bleeding. In fact, they were slowly recovering. It had to be said that the life force's recovery ability was terrifyingly strong. It was almost as if he was constantly taking top-grade medicine. If he drank a flawless grade health potion, Mo Xiaobai couldn't imagine how monstrous his recovery would be. It would be hard for him to die, right? After a while, Mo Xiaobai's wounds were completely healed. Other than the bloodstains on his body, there were almost no traces of him being tested. Mo Xiaobai glanced at Natsu Ki, who was immersed in her experiment. He didn't disturb her and walked out of the room, gently closing the door behind him. After that, Mo Xiaobai went to the bathroom on the second floor to wash up. Originally, this bathroom was used by Natsu Ki and Suyin, but because Mo Xiaobai would often leave traces of himself when testing medicine, Mo Xiaobai was allowed to use it as well. After Mo Xiaobai finished washing up, Natsu Ki had also finished recording. Seeing Mo Xiaobai come out, Natsu Ki asked Mo Xiaobai to stay for lunch. Mo Xiaobai naturally didn't reject the opportunity to freeload. After lunch, Mo Xiaobai changed into his armor and headed to the Blade Peak Mountains. Before entering the Blade Peak Mountains, Mo Xiaobai saw people coming and going at the Void Domain entrance. Everyone seemed to be in a hurry. Seeing this, Mo Xiaobai's eyes flashed with a trace of doubt. Just then, he saw Lu Xiaofei and the fat rabbit walking past him. Mo Xiaobai immediately grabbed Lu Xiaofei. What the hell? That bastard dares to pull me. Lu Xiaofei angrily turned his head, but after seeing Mo Xiaobai, his expression froze. Mo, brother Mo, why are you here? When the fat rabbit man saw Mo Xiaobai, he was also shocked, and his fat body seemed to shrink a little. Mo Xiaobai looked at the two of them and smiled. Why are there so many people today? Brother Mo, you don't know? Lu Xiaofei was stunned. Seeing Mo Xiaobai raise his eyebrows, he hurriedly said, It's like this. The door to the Blade Peak Mountains has opened. I think there will be powerful magical beasts appearing. Many freshmen and second-year students have gone. Hearing this, a glint flashed across Mo Xiaobai's eyes. The door has opened? The last time he saw the door open was during the first Cries trial. At that time, there were rank 2 magical beasts and demon leaders. The Blade Peak Mountains was also a hardship grade void territory. There would probably be rank 3 demon leaders appearing, right? Thinking of this, he nodded at the nervous Lu Xiaofei and the fat rabbit, then ran towards the entrance of the Blade Peak Mountains. After seeing Mo Xiaobai, the pupils of many students constricted as they made way for him. After entering the entrance and arriving at the encampment square, Mo Xiaobai found that there were even more people. A large number of students were here to form teams. There were also students who directly left the square with fixed teams. Mo Xiaobai did not have the habit of forming teams. He directly ran out of the encampment. Not long after, he left the encampment and headed towards the Blade Peak Canyon. The Blade Peak Canyon was the area with the strongest magical beasts in the Blade Peak Mountains. There were many Blade Imp there, and their strength ranged from rank 2, rank 6, to the peak of rank 2. Although Mo Xiaobai, who could move under 8 times the gravity, did not have a powerful speed origin skill, his physical body speed could not be considered slow. Combined with his fleet-foot origin skill, Mo Xiaobai's speed could not be compared to his own in other aspects, but it was still not bad. The tips of his feet constantly tapped the ground, and his figure flashed as he moved towards the Blade Peak Canyon. At this moment, Mo Xiaobai felt an aura rapidly approaching from behind. He turned around and found that Yin Shui was chasing after him. Her body was flashing with white light, and her speed was extremely fast. After Yin Shui saw Mo Xiaobai, a trace of surprise flashed through her icy blue eyes. Very quickly, she arrived beside Mo Xiaobai and walked side by side with Mo Xiaobai. When she saw Mo Xiaobai's speed, the corner of her mouth curled up slightly, and a trace of pride appeared on her calm face. Student Mo Xiaobai, what a coincidence. When Mo Xiaobai saw Yin Shui's slightly proud smile, he was speechless. What was so amazing about being fast? Mo Xiaobai muttered in his heart, but a trace of a smile appeared on his face. It really is a coincidence. A trace of a smile appeared on Yin Shui's cold face, and she nodded lightly at Mo Xiaobai. Then I'll be leaving first. As she spoke, Yin Shui began to speed up and leave. When Mo Xiaobai saw this, his eyes widened. Wait, student Yin Shui, take me with you. Take me with you. Hearing this, Yin Shui paused, then turned to look at Mo Xiaobai, revealing a bright smile. This was the first time Mo Xiaobai had seen Yin Shui so proud. Give me a reason to take you with me. Mo Xiaobai smiled shyly. Look, we're friends, right? Take me with you? Yin Shui's lips curled up. Who's friends with you? Mo Xiaobai's eyes widened. You're not. When Yin Shui saw Mo Xiaobai's look of disbelief, she rolled her eyes. I'm leaving. Mo Xiaobai hurriedly said, Don't. You're going to the Blade Peak Mountains too, right? There's probably a rank 3 leader there. You're definitely not a match for him alone, right? If we work together, we'll split the loot 50-50. When she heard Mo Xiaobai's words, Yin Shui raised her eyebrows slightly and nodded. All right then. As she spoke, she grabbed Mo Xiaobai's arm, and Mo Xiaobai immediately felt himself flying. It had to be said that Yin Shui's speed was much faster than his by quite a bit. In terms of physical strength, Mo Xiaobai was confident that he was much stronger than Yin Shui, but he was certain that Yin Shui's speed origin skill was at least of a rare rank, much stronger than his Fleetfoot origin skill. Mo Xiaobai wanted to cry. He didn't have money, but what could he do if he didn't have money? He didn't have the money to buy a high-grade origin skill, even if he wanted one. Yin Shui was different. With her family background, there was no need to even think about it. All kinds of origin skill crystals were definitely the most suitable for her. After a while, he would go and see if there were any missions outside of school that he could do. With his current cultivation and the white ray of light, he should have a chance of completing a simple mission outside of school. When the time came, he would save up some money and buy a better speed origin skill crystal. Chapter 118. Yin Shui's speed was extremely fast. In less than an hour, they had already entered the depths of the Blade Peak Mountains and were nearing the Blade Peak Canyon. The surrounding mountain ridges were filled with razor-sharp rocks as far as the eye could see. The entire mountain range was like a mountain of blades. There were already many magical beasts and demons in this area. After the door was opened, the number of demons and magical beasts increased. Yin Shui and Mo Xiaobai both heard all sorts of wild roars coming from within. Nearby, there were also sounds of battle. It was clear that there were other people besides them. Mo Xiaobai and Yin Shui looked at each other. Mo Xiaobai said, Let's go. We'll kill our way in. An icy blue bow appeared in Yin Shui's hand. She nodded lightly. Mo Xiaobai's body was stronger than Yin Shui's. He walked in front, the blood-patterned heavy sword appearing in his right hand. The two of them were less than 100 meters in when Mo Xiaobai saw a gray line of misfortune flash through the cracks of the rocks. It was quickly approaching them. Soon, Yin Shui also heard the sound. She gripped her bow tightly and formed an ice arrow. Her icy blue eyes flashed with a sharp light as she looked in the direction of the sound. A huge wild boar with a shoulder height of 2 meters and sharp bone spikes on its back rushed out of the gap between the rocks. Its eyes were red, and a faint purple-black fog appeared around its body. Roar! It roared and lowered its head slightly. Staring at its 2 large tusks, it charged towards Mo Xiaobai. Before Mo Xiaobai could make a move, an ice arrow flew past him and pierced the wild boar's left eye. The wild boar's body staggered and fell heavily to the ground. It slid on the ground for a few meters before its life force dissipated. Mo Xiaobai walked forward. Looking at the purple-black fog that was slowly dissipating, he raised his eyebrows slightly. It seems that the magical beasts around here have been strengthened by the power of the void. Yin Shui gently nodded. Yes, the magical beasts inside are probably stronger. Be careful. The two of them continued venturing deeper. Along the way, they killed all the demons and demonic beasts they encountered. Even the enhanced magic beasts and demons were still at the 2nd rank. Even the enhanced magic beasts were far from being a match for Mo Xiaobai and Yin Shui. Along the way, Mo Xiaobai kept an eye on the white light. In the end, Akatsuki's students had already ransacked the entire area, leaving not a single treasure behind. Wherever Mo Xiaobai's gaze passed, everything was white. Not long after, Mo Xiaobai and Yin Shui had already entered the depths. At this moment, Mo Xiaobai saw a red line of good luck flowing in the distance. Seeing this, Mo Xiaobai was overjoyed. It had been a long time since he had seen such a red line of good luck. He turned his head and walked over. Seeing Mo Xiaobai change direction, Yin Shui, who was following behind Mo Xiaobai, was also stunned. She followed Mo Xiaobai, her icy blue eyes filled with confusion. What's wrong? Mo Xiaobai came to the position of the line of good luck and saw the red light floating in the air. Mo Xiaobai already had a certain understanding of the line of good luck. The red light floating in the air clearly meant that something good would soon appear in this area. He turned his head and smiled at Yin Shui. It's nothing. I just have a feeling that there's something good here. Let's look around. Hearing Mo Xiaobai's words, Yin Shui was stunned. She looked at Mo Xiaobai with a strange expression on her expressionless face, then turned her head to look around. She raised her eyebrows. Don't tease me. Why don't I see anything good here? Mo Xiaobai rolled his eyes. I already said that it's just a feeling. My luck has always been very good. It's not like you don't know that. Hearing this, Yin Shui was a little skeptical. Wasn't this feeling a little too fake? However, Yin Shui still looked around the area. Seeing this, Mo Xiaobai also pretended to look around. After a while, Yin Shui looked around the area, but did not find the treasure that Mo Xiaobai had mentioned. She frowned slightly and looked at Mo Xiaobai. Stop fooling around. Let's go. Don't let someone else take the leader position. Mo Xiaobai opened his mouth. Wait a little longer. Yin Shui opened her mouth. Just as she was about to speak, a mournful cry suddenly sounded from the sky. Mo Xiaobai and Yin Shui both looked up at the sky. They saw that in the sky, far away, a huge gray iron eagle was flying in a crooked manner. Moreover, it was flying and falling at the same time. This huge gray iron eagle seemed to have lost its strength and began to fall at an even faster speed. Finally, under Yin Shui's stunned gaze, it landed heavily in front of Mo Xiaobai. Fresh blood spurted out. Mo Xiaobai looked at the huge gray iron eagle that was wailing nonstop. A look of surprise flashed across his eyes. Second rank, 8th level leader, Bladed Iron Eagle. The Bladed Iron Eagle's abdomen seemed to have received some kind of injury. The wound was torn open and looked extremely exaggerated. Furthermore, it had fallen from such a high altitude. At this moment, it was already on the verge of death. Mo Xiaobai happily stabbed his sword into the Bladed Iron Eagle's wound, ending its pain. Then, he smiled at Yin Shui, who was still a little confused. Look, isn't it here? Yin Shui. She turned to look at Mo Xiaobai. Her head was full of question marks. How did this work? Very quickly, the Bladed Iron Eagle's corpse began to seep out transcendent materials. Green, blue, and purple lights flashed. When all the transcendent materials had seeped out, Mo Xiaobai picked them up. The rare materials were 10 gray iron feathers of the Bladed Iron Eagle. Mo Xiaobai seemed to have seen someone collecting them. He would turn in the mission later. There's also a rare grade heavenly forged bracelet. The bracelet was gray iron in color, and there seemed to be lines of feathers engraved on it. Mo Xiaobai's eyes lit up as he put on the bracelet. Immediately, he felt that his strength and agility had increased by a bit. Moreover, he discovered that his origin power had gained a trace of sharpness. When he used origin power to attack, the attack power would also increase by a level. Good stuff. Mo Xiaobai was pleasantly surprised. This bracelet should be called the Iron Eagle Feather Bracelet. There is also a rare grade, transcendent material, the claws of 2 bladed iron eagles. Mo Xiaobai looked at the claws and handed them to Yin Shui. Everyone who saw it has a share. These claws and the elite grade materials are yours. Hearing this, Yin Shui came back to her senses. She looked at Mo Xiaobai and then looked at the transcendent materials on the ground. After thinking for a while, she still accepted them. Okay, she said to herself, we are now in a cooperative relationship. Moreover, I stopped to look for the treasure you mentioned earlier. I won't be polite. Mo Xiaobai smiled and nodded. All right, let's go. Let's continue. Okay. The two of them continued to move deeper into the canyon. After the two of them left, A few figures slowly approached. These people were from different teams. After seeing each other, they were stunned. Then they gripped their weapons tightly. Then, when they saw the withered corpse on the ground, their eyes widened. Bladed iron eagle? What the F asterisk CK? Which bastard is so lucky? He actually found the corpse of a bladed iron eagle. Damn it, all the transcendent materials have been taken. TSK, let's go. Let's go to the Bladed Peak Canyon early. There should be many leaders there. As they got closer to the Bladed Peak Canyon, the magical beasts became more and more powerful. Magical beasts of Class 2, Level 8, and Peak were everywhere. There are also quite a few elite-grade magical beasts. Mo Xiaobai and Yin Shui slowed down their pace. It took them more than an hour to reach the entrance of the canyon. The Bladed Peak Canyon was even larger than Mo Xiaobai's Blazing Heat Rift Valley in the Blazing Heat Wilderness. It had a radius of several hundred kilometers, and there were many Blade Imp communities inside. Not long after Mo Xiaobai and Yin Shui entered the Bladed Peak Canyon, they encountered a Blade Imp community. Blade Imp lived in a cave on the cliff of the canyon. A small community of Blade Imp had a dozen or so. Their strength also ranged from Class 2, Level 6 to Peak. Of course, that was before the door appeared. Now, the community of Blade Imp in front of Mo Xiaobai and Yin Shui had more than 20 Blade Imp. All of them had been strengthened by the power of the Void. Moreover, more than 10 of them were elite grade. There was even a rust-colored demon shaman. Many Blade Imp went in and out of the caves. There were also 2 teams of Blade Imp patrols. Each team had 4 Blade Imp, all of them elite grade. Looking at the Blade Imp in the distance, Mo Xiaobai smiled and said, "Let's go straight up. I'll charge, you just attack from behind." Yin Shui gripped her bow and nodded lightly. Mo Xiaobai bent his legs slightly, and a white light flashed as he stomped on the ground. Whoosh! With a strong wind pressure, Mo Xiaobai crossed over 100 meters in an instant, appearing in front of a patrol team of Blade Imp. After seeing Mo Xiaobai, the 4 Blade Imp were stunned, and then let out a sharp cry. GG Gulu! The sharp cry resounded throughout the small community of Blade Imp. Not far away, another team of Blade Imp and the Imp in the cave looked over. Mo Xiaobai was expressionless as he gripped the blood-vein heavy sword with both hands. 3 white sword lights flashed. Triple slash. The sword lights slashed through the necks of 3 Class 2, Level 8 Elite Blade Imp. They didn't even have time to react before their heads fell to the ground. The remaining Blade Imp was stunned when he saw the heads of his comrades fly. He raised his head and stared straight at Mo Xiaobai. After meeting Mo Xiaobai's cold gaze, the Blade Imp suddenly took a step back. At this time, a sword light flashed and slashed across his neck, ending his life. At this time, a patrol team of Blade Imp rushed towards Mo Xiaobai. While rushing over, icy blue frost arrows were shot out, accurately shooting into the eyes of the Blade Imps and piercing through their skulls. They had only charged half the distance before they all fell to the ground. Mo Xiaobai glanced at the fallen Blade Imp and then turned his head towards the cave. Close to 20 Blade Imp rushed over, with a rust-colored demon shaman at the very back. After seeing the corpses on the ground, the demon shaman's purple-black eyes widened. Malice flashed in his eyes, and he shouted in a hoarse voice, "Human, you deserve to die." His whole body flashed with a blood-red light. The blood-red light turned into ripples that spread out, instantly enveloping all the Blade Imp. Then, the originally gray Blade Imp seemed to be covered in a layer of blood-red light, and its eyes flashed with a red light. After being covered in the blood-red light, the Blade Imp's aura became even more tyrannical. Mass Berserk, Mo Xiaobai gripped the heavy sword in his hand, and a golden scale armor appeared on his body, then disappeared into his skin. Golden scale armor. Then, he stomped on the ground and rushed towards the Blade Imp group. His hand raised, and his sword fell, and purple-black blood spurted out. Not a single Blade Imp was able to block Mo Xiaobai's attack. He was like a meat grinder, and everywhere he went, there were broken limbs. And all the Blade Imp that wanted to attack Mo Xiaobai had their heads pierced by the ice arrows. Not a single attack landed on him. It was a complete suppression. Even the berserk blade imps saw how terrifying Mo Xiaobai was, and their eyes flashed with shock. They wanted to retreat, but after taking a few steps, their heads were pierced by an ice-cold arrow. In just a few breaths, more than 10 berserk blade imp were killed, leaving only the demon shaman standing at the back. When the demon shaman saw this scene, he was a bit stunned. He saw Mo Xiaobai look over, and his body trembled in disbelief. Mo Xiaobai was about to rush up and attack him, when an ice arrow flew past Mo Xiaobai and pierced through the demon shaman's eyes. Mo Xiaobai paused, then turned his head and smiled at Yin Shui, who was walking over. It really is easier when two people work together. I don't even need to defend myself. He had activated his golden scale armor, and even if he wanted to defend himself a little, he didn't expect that Blade Imp wouldn't even hit him. Yin Shui smiled and nodded, her icy blue eyes flashing. It really is a lot easier. With Mo Xiaobai in front of her, she didn't even need to move. She just needed to stand there and shoot. It was very comfortable. Pick up the things, let's continue. Okay. Just as the two of them were picking up the transcendent materials from Blade Imp, a team of 6 walked into the Blade Peak Canyon. 3 of them were at the pinnacle of 2 apertures, while the other 3 were at level 8. When they saw Blade Imp's corpse on the ground, their pupils shrank. Then they saw Mo Xiaobai and Yin Shui, who were picking up things, and their expressions changed slightly. A beautiful mermaid wearing a loose light blue robe widened her eyes slightly. It's the 2 of them? Mo Xiaobai and Yin Shui? Aren't they both loners? I didn't expect them to team up. The heart of the leader, a golden-haired human male wearing heavy metal armor and holding a sword and shield, sank. These 2 are monsters. I didn't expect them to team up. This isn't good. A handsome night creature wearing leather armor and holding a longbow twitched the corner of his mouth. The others didn't look too good either. Mo Xiaobai and Yin Shui were too famous. They had only been in school for 3 months, but at the end of the first month, they had surpassed level 20. During the second battle, Mo Xiaobai was already at level 23, and Yin Shui was at level 22. The third battle hadn't started yet, but one could imagine that their strength had increased by quite a bit. The battle prowess of these 2 individuals was already incomparably terrifying, let alone the 2 of them together. It's not just them. Li Qixi team is coming too. A cute girl with long brown hair and a few freckles on her face said, "What? Aren't they already at 3 apertures? They're coming too?" I'm afraid it's not just them. The other teams with 3 apertures should be coming too. Everyone looked at each other, and the atmosphere was silent. Chapter 119. Mo Xiaobai picked up an elite blade shard from the ground and suddenly felt someone's gaze on him. He raised his head and looked in the direction of the gaze. After seeing a group of people in the distance, Mo Xiaobai raised his eyebrows slightly. His gaze swept across the Akatsuki badges on their chests. Under the Akatsuki badges, there were 2 stripes. Second years? At this time, Yin Shui also walked over, her icy blue eyes looking at the second-year students in the distance. When they saw Mo Xiaobai and Yin Shui looking over, the people who were watching from afar nodded at them, and then left in another direction. Obviously, they didn't want to argue with Mo Xiaobai and Yin Shui. Mo Xiaobai watched them leave and narrowed his eyes slightly, saying, "I think there will be more people coming soon." "Okay." Yin Shui nodded lightly. "Let's go in quickly and find out where the leader is." Okay. The 2 quickly picked up the remaining items and continued to go deeper into the canyon. The deeper they went into the Blade Peak Canyon, the stronger the Blade Imp was. Of course, the items that were extracted were not bad either. A bunch of elite-ranked items and even rare extraordinary materials dropped out of the dungeon. Mo Xiaobai and Yin Shui split the extraordinary materials. Just Mo Xiaobai alone received tens of thousands of academic credits. It was a bountiful harvest. Along the way, Mo Xiaobai and Yin Shui also encountered other groups. However, there were quite a few Blade Imp, and Mo Xiaobai and Yin Shui were strong. Everyone restrained themselves and didn't attack directly. A few hours later, Mo Xiaobai and Yin Shui were moving through a forest of Blade Peak rocks. At this time, Mo Xiaobai saw hundreds of lines of misfortune in the distance. The deepest lines of misfortune were even grayish-black. Mo Xiaobai's heart jumped. With such strong lines of misfortune, the opponent was definitely not weak. Leader, Mo Xiaobai brought Yin Shui and slowly moved in that direction. After moving for a while, Yin Shui raised her eyebrows slightly as she heard a noise in the distance. There's movement over there. Mo Xiaobai nodded lightly. Okay, let's go take a look. The two carefully approached. Soon, the two saw an open space through the gaps in the forest of Blade Peak rocks. It was about a few hundred meters in radius. On the other side of the open space was a mountain cliff. At the bottom of the cliff, there were many caves and some simple stone buildings. The cave in the middle was the largest, about 4 meters tall. In the open space, there were many blade imp barbecued meat. There were also some corpses of magical beasts and some elite blade imp patrolling. Mo Xiaobai and Yin Shui hid behind the Blade Peak rocks and secretly watched this scene. Then, the two retracted their heads. So many blade imp. Yin Shui's icy blue eyes flashed as she spoke softly. There were 50 to 60 of them in the open space alone. Who knew how many more were in the caves? Yin Shui didn't know, but Mo Xiaobai knew very well. There were about 40 to 50 of them in the caves. There was even a leader in the largest cave. He didn't say this out loud. He only said, "This time, let's be careful. Try to lure them out and kill them slowly." Yin Shui nodded lightly. Then, Mo Xiaobai picked up a small stone from the ground. When a group of 4 elite blade imp passed by, he threw the small stone at the leader of the group, a peak second-order blade imp. The blade imp that was hit by the stone was furious. It opened its eyes wide and looked around. Then, it looked in the direction where the stone was thrown. The 3 blade imps saw this and surrounded it. The 4 blade imp chattered for a while, then moved towards Mo Xiaobai and Yin Shui. Mo Xiaobai and Yin Shui hid behind the rocks, holding their breaths and quietly waiting. When the 4 blade imp all came over, Mo Xiaobai's eyes flashed with a cold light. He rushed out from the shadows and quickly arrived behind the 4 blade imp. The blood-patterned heavy sword drew 3 sword slashes in the air. Chi chi chi. The sword slashed across the blade imps' necks. Blood spurted out, and their heads rolled down from their necks. The blade imp that was at the front felt that something was wrong and quickly turned around. When he saw Mo Xiaobai, his eyes widened. Before he could open his mouth, a cold blue ice arrow shot into his eye. Dong! Seeing the last blade imp fall to the ground, Mo Xiaobai sighed and gave Yin Shui a thumbs up. Yin Shui's lips curved up slightly and a smile appeared on her cold face. Then the two of them picked up the rare-grade materials. Mo Xiaobai looked at the bloodstains on the ground and said, "Let's change directions. Otherwise, the blade imp will notice that something is wrong." Yin Shui nodded. Fortunately, the clearing was surrounded by blade rocks. The two of them casually walked a few meters and found a different direction. When a patrol team passed by, they repeated the same trick. Soon, the teams of blade imp disappeared from the clearing. When the 4th team of blade imp disappeared, the other blade imp in the clearing finally realized that something was wrong. The blade imps all became nervous. They mumbled something that no one could understand. Seeing this, Mo Xiaobai silently took back the small stone that he was about to throw out. Yin Shui came over and asked, "What do we do?" Mo Xiaobai raised his eyebrows and looked at the vigilant blade imp. "Let's wait and see what they plan to do." Soon, under the blade imp's mumbling, teams of elite blade imp moved towards the blade stone forest. Seeing this, Mo Xiaobai and Yin Shui's eyes lit up. Mo Xiaobai said softly, "They're probably looking for their companions. Don't worry about the other directions. Look in the direction with the corpses first." Yin Shui obviously had the same idea. She nodded slightly and said, "Let's go." The two of them looked at the blade imp teams coming over. There were a total of 6 blade imp teams and 24 blade imp teams. 2 of the teams were heading towards the blade imp corpses. Yin Shui looked at the approaching blade imp through a gap in the distance. Her icy blue eyes flashed with a cold light. "I'm fast. I'll deal with the team in front." You deal with the closer team. Mo Xiaobai nodded and didn't object. Yin Shui's slender legs kicked off the ground. Her body turned into an afterimage and disappeared from the spot. Mo Xiaobai hid in the shadow of a Blade Imp boulder and waited for the Blade Imp to come closer. Very quickly, the Blade Imp walked into the stone forest. Their vigilant gazes swept over them. Mo Xiaobai was hiding in the shadows, blocking their path. The Blade Imps chattered among themselves as they took a few steps forward. At this moment, the Blade Imps saw the purplish-black blood splattered on the boulder, and their faces changed. Mo Xiaobai took advantage of the moment they were stunned. He kicked off the ground and instantly appeared behind the 4-Blade Imp. 3 consecutive slashes sliced across the necks of 3-Blade Imp. The other Blade Imp felt the blood on the side. His face changed. He wanted to call out. Mo Xiaobai's eyes went cold. He reached out with his left hand and grabbed the Blade Imp's mouth. Arg! The Blade Imp couldn't make a sound. Its purplish-black eyes were filled with terror and ferocity. Its 2 sharp blade arms stabbed towards Mo Xiaobai. However, it was too slow. It only managed to stab a short distance before a sword pierced its neck and wiped away its life force. Mo Xiaobai let go of the Blade Imp's head. He looked down at the body and shook off the blood on his sword. He waited for the Blade Imp to separate the transcendent material and picked it up. Not long after, Yin Shui came back. Mo Xiaobai smiled. Let's go and hunt the other Blade Imp and make him. The 2 of them silently moved towards the other 4 squads of Blade Imps. 10 minutes later, with his sword light, the last Blade Imp that was about to call out was beheaded. All the Blade Imp that entered the forest died. On the empty ground, a long time had passed, but the little demons that entered the forest still didn't move. This made the Blade Imp even more nervous. Their voices became a little sharp, and they were constantly discussing something. Following which, a peak Tier 2 elite Blade Imp roared a few times in the direction of the cave. Instantly, 1 Blade Imp after another ran out of the cave. From the largest cave, a 2-meter tall Blade Imp walked out. This Blade Imp was dark brown in color, and its blood-red eyes flashed with a fierce light. The sharp blade on its arm was over a meter long, and it was dark in color. Mo Xiaobai, who was hiding in the distance, raised an eyebrow when he saw the grayish-black lines of misfortune on the dark brown Blade Imp. Especially when he felt the strong sense of danger from this Blade Imp, his heart tightened. Yin Shui frowned and said in a low voice, "It's a Stage 3, Level 1 Blade Imp leader." Mo Xiaobai lightly nodded. His gaze swept across the nearly 50 Blade Imp and the leader. He pursed his lips and said softly, "Do you want to do it or not?" Yin Shui's gaze also swept across the Blade Imp, her icy blue eyes flashing with a trace of seriousness. So many Blade Imp, can you block them all? After all, Mo Xiaobai was the one charging at the front. Mo Xiaobai stared at the tall Blade Imp leader, his eyes flashing with passion and battle intent. "I don't know, but I can try." Yin Shui saw the battle intent in Mo Xiaobai's eyes and smiled. She turned to look at the Blade Imp with a trace of sharpness in her eyes. Her left hand gripped her icy blue bow tightly. "Then let's try." "Okay." Mo Xiaobai lightly nodded. Then, a golden light flashed around his body, and the golden scale armor was activated. Then, he drank a bottle of iron skin potion, and his body glowed with a gray metallic light. He clenched his fists and said, "I'm going." As he spoke, Mo Xiaobai stomped on the ground, his body turning into an afterimage as he charged out of the Blade Imp forest, charging towards the distant Blade Imp leader. The distant Blade Imp leader was listening to a Blade Imp ramble on about the current situation. Suddenly, his blood-red eyes flashed, and he turned to look in Mo Xiaobai's direction. After seeing Mo Xiaobai charge over, the Blade Imp leader revealed a sinister smile. "Human, you're looking to die." He had originally been listening to his subordinate's report on the disappearance of his companions, but now it seemed that the mastermind behind the scenes had been revealed. He stomped his right foot on the ground, his body turning into a black shadow as he charged towards Mo Xiaobai. As the two approached each other, a trace of coldness flashed through the Blade Imp leader's eyes. His two pitch-black blades flashed with a purplish-black light, and he turned into an afterimage as he disappeared. Rare-grade origin skill, Blade Flurry. When Mo Xiao Bai saw the purplish-black sword shadows slashing down, the hairs on his back stood on end. He almost instantly stopped his charge and gripped his heavy sword tightly with both hands, continuously blocking the attacks as he retreated. Clang, clang, clang. Sword light flashed one after another, and the sound of metal colliding rang out. Mo Xiao Bai only felt that more than 10 attacks had landed on the blood-patterned heavy sword at the same time. His body almost instantly retreated as waves of energy surged towards him like a tide, causing him to feel a sharp pain in his arm. At the same time, a few attacks that he hadn't been able to block landed on Mo Xiao Bai's body. Suddenly, the golden light of the golden scale armor and the gray light of the iron skin potion flashed continuously. Even so, they weren't able to completely block the attacks. One attack after another landed on the golden scale armor, leaving behind white marks. A terrifying power surged into Mo Xiao Bai's body. F*CK. So strong? Mo Xiao Bai's face paled, and his heart was filled with shock. His current cultivation was already at 2 apertures level 5, perhaps even close to 2 apertures level 6. On top of that, he had the legendary grade Breath of Life, the rare gray golden scale armor, and even the flawless iron skin potion he had obtained from Mu Sensei. Even so, he had almost been heavily injured in a single exchange. A rank 3, level 1 boss was just too terrifying. Very quickly, however, the Blade Imp leader's eyesight was exhausted, and the Blade Flurry stopped. After seeing Mo Xiao Bai's somewhat pale face, the Blade Imp leader's eyes widened in shock. How did you block it? His full-powered Blade Flurry had actually been blocked by a human so much weaker than him? How is this possible? Just as he was in a daze, 7 icy blue streaks of light streaked across the sky, shooting towards the Blade Imp leader. The Blade Imp leader only came back to his senses when the frost arrows approached. A bloody light flashed in his eyes, and his right leg took a step forward, transforming into a blade of light that disappeared from his original spot, dodging the 7 icy blue streaks of light. Rare-grade origin skill, Blade Edge Walk. In the next instant, the Blade Imp leader appeared behind Mo Xiao Bai. At the same time, a sharp blade of light slashed towards the back of Mo Xiao Bai's neck. Mo Xiao Bai felt the sharp blade of light behind him, and his body suddenly moved to the left. A sharp blade of light streaked past Mo Xiao Bai's side, tearing the air apart. Cold sweat dripped down Mo Xiao Bai's forehead. He didn't think too much about it, and the heavy sword in his right hand slashed out 3 times. 3 consecutive slashes. Seeing the 3 slashes of light coming towards him, the Blade Imp leader used 2 of his blade arms to meet the slashes of light. The moment the slashes of light and the blade arms came into contact, the Blade Imp leader's expression changed. What powerful strength! Clang, clang, clang. The Blade Imp leader's body was continuously pushed back by the power of Mo Xiao Bai's heavy sword. At this moment, an ice arrow streaked through the air, shooting towards the Blade Imp's back at twice the speed of the previous ice arrow. The ice arrow wrapped around the air, forming a white fog. Feeling the sharp blade of light behind him, the Blade Imp let out a low roar and activated Blade Edge Walk again, his body disappearing from his original spot. Even so, a wisp of fresh blood drifted through the air. Chapter 120. More than 10 meters away from Mo Xiao Bai, the Blade Imp leader appeared again. There was a small wound on its right shoulder, and frost was slowly condensing on the wound. The Blade Imp leader turned to look in the direction of the Bladestone Forest, its blood-red eyes filled with killing intent. In the next moment, it turned into a blade of light again and rushed toward the Bladestone Forest. Seeing this, Mo Xiao Bai's expression changed. His eyes flashed with a trace of sharpness. He kicked off the ground and chased after the Blade Imp leader. Roar! Sensing Mo Xiao Bai's pursuit, the Blade Imp leader roared. Suddenly, All the Blade Imp nearby had blood-red eyes and surrounded Mo Xiao Bai. Dozens of Blade Imps surrounded Mo Xiao by layer, blocking Mo Xiao Bai's footsteps. Mo Xiao Bai's expression changed. His face was cold, and the heavy sword in his hands flashed with white light. The sword flashed in the air. "Get out of my way." Yin Shue's defense was not as good as his. If she was caught, the previous attack would have seriously injured her. Without Yin Shue's long-range support, it was impossible for him to kill the Blade Imp leader by himself. If things went wrong, he might even lose his life here. In the distant stone forest, Yin Shui looked at the Blade Imp leader who had turned into a blade of light and was quickly approaching. Her expression did not change at all. Her eyes flashed with an icy blue light, and wisps of white, icy mist appeared around her body. Rare grade origin skill, Frozen Heart. It was the reward for the second place in the first cry trial. Then, she waved her right hand, and an icy mist slowly condensed, forming an Iceman with a blurry face. Rare grade origin skill, Iceman. As soon as the Iceman appeared, it rushed toward the Blade Imp leader. When the Blade Imp leader saw the Iceman approaching, it snorted coldly, and a purple-black mist appeared on its two blades. Blade Flurry. More than a dozen purple-black sword shadows slashed through Iceman's body, almost instantly cutting Iceman into pieces. Blade Imp's leader didn't even look at Iceman and planned to continue rushing towards Yin Shui. It was at this moment that Yin Shui's eyes flashed. She opened her red lips and said, "Explode." Boom! The Iceman on the side of the Blade Imp burst open in an instant. The Blade Imp leader's expression changed. It was too late to dodge, so he could only wave his sword to block the sharp Iceman shards. When the fragments dissipated, the Blade Imp leader's body was covered in a thin layer of frost. His movements were clearly much slower. He suddenly raised his head and looked at Yin Shui with a ferocious expression. Yin Shui, on the other hand, held the longbow in her hand and constantly condensed frost arrows. Frost arrows quickly shot towards the Blade Imp leader. The Blade Imp leader roared and wanted to approach, but Yin Shui's movements were too flexible. Coupled with the fact that they were in the Blade Imp stone forest, which was surrounded by blade rocks and the environment was twisty, it was even more difficult for the Blade Imp leader to catch up with Yin Shui, not to mention that he was slowed down by the frost power. For a time, the Blade Imp leader kept chasing Yin Shui, while Yin Shui kept dodging, shooting back arrows from time to time, and summoning Icemen from time to time to replenish the dissipated frost power on the Blade Imp leader. However, it was difficult for Yin Shui to cause effective damage to the Blade Imp leader. After the Blade Imp leader became vigilant, all attacks were blocked. Yin Shui and the Blade Imp leader were in a stalemate, one chasing and one fleeing. On the ground, every time Mo Xiao Bai slashed down, a Blade Imp would be heavily injured or killed. Purple-black blood splattered on the ground, and the Blade Imp's corpses were scattered nearby. A few minutes later, a sword light slashed across the neck of the last peak rank 2 elite Blade Imp. The ground was covered in Blade Imp's corpses, and the ground was dyed purple-black by the demon's blood. And Mo Xiao Bai stood in the middle of the corpses, slightly exhaling, and turned his head to look in the direction of the Bladestone Forest. In the Bladestone Forest, the sounds of battle could be heard, accompanied by the angry roars of the Blade Imp leader. Mo Xiao Bai's legs flashed with white light, and his body turned into a blur as he moved towards the direction of the battle. Mo Xiao Bai entered the Bladestone Forest and quickly saw the Blade Imp leader chasing after Yin Shui. When the Blade Imp leader saw Mo Xiao Bai, he was slightly stunned. Then his eyes widened, as if he thought of something, and turned his head to look through the gaps in the stone forest. After seeing the ground full of corpses, a purple-black fog flashed in his blood-red eyes. Damned human! With a roar, the purple-black fog wrapped around the Blade Imp leader's body. The Blade Imp leader gave up on Yin Shui and rushed towards Mo Xiao Bai. Mo Xiao Bai felt the aura of the Blade Imp leader explode, and his expression became serious. Holding his sword with both hands, he went up to meet him. The violent blade imp leader disappeared from his spot and appeared in front of Mo Xiaobai. At the same time, a sharp blade shot towards Mo Xiaobai. Mo Xiaobai had experienced this before and was prepared. He leaned his body to the side and dodged the blade. The blade imp leader's sharp blade arm slashed through the air, roaring as it slashed towards Mo Xiaobai. Mo Xiaobai felt the purple-black blade's aura stronger than before, and his expression changed slightly. However, because the blade imp leader's body was covered in frost, his movements were slightly slower than before. Mo Xiaobai retreated, both hands gripping his greatsword, and dodged or blocked. The sound of metal clashing against metal rang out incessantly, blocking one blade after another. A terrifying and vast power flowed through the greatsword and into Mo Xiaobai's arm. Mo Xiaobai's arm was sore, and he almost threw the greatsword away. Just as he felt his grip on the greatsword becoming more and more unstable, an ice arrow with white fog shot towards the blade imp leader. Chi! The blade imp leader was currently in a frenzy and only felt threatened when the ice arrow approached. He was just about to dodge when Mo Xiaobai clenched his fists and a bloody light flashed on the greatsword in his hand. Wild heavy strike. Chi! The blade imp leader blocked Yin Shui's ice arrow, but was hit by Mo Xiaobai's sword. A hideous wound appeared on his chest from his left shoulder to his right waist, and purple-black blood flowed out from the wound. After being heavily injured, the blade imp leader roared, and his body staggered. Mo Xiaobai took this opportunity to unleash 3 consecutive slashes. Clang! 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 The blade imp leader blocked with his blade arm, blocking the attacks one after another. However, under Mo Xiaobai's powerful attacks, he kept retreating, and the wound on his chest tore even more, causing blood to flow out. At the same time, ice arrow after ice arrow shot from afar, sealing off the blade imp leader's retreat. From time to time, an ice arrow would hit the blade imp leader's body. As time passed, the frost on the blade imp leader's body grew more and more. Coupled with the injuries on his body, his movements were much slower than before. In just a few minutes, it became difficult for him to defend against Mo Xiaobai and Yin Shui's attacks. He often lost sight of one thing while losing sight of the other, causing injuries to appear on his body. A bloody light flashed. Mo Xiaobai's blood-veined greatsword was wrapped in a bloody light as it slashed towards the blade imp leader. The blade imp leader roared as he struggled to raise his 2 sharp blade arms to block. Clang! The blade imp leader retreated. Before he could stabilize his body, an ice arrow pierced through his chest, causing his body to freeze on the spot. Mo Xiaobai took advantage of the situation to move forward. The greatsword in his hand slashed across the blade imp leader's neck, causing purplish-black blood to spurt out. The blade imp leader's life force dissipated, and his corpse fell to the ground with a thud. Mo Xiaobai's body was covered in wounds. He let out a small sigh of relief. In the distance, Yin Shui walked over. Her situation was much better than Mo Xiaobai's, but her face was a bit pale. Yin Shui glanced at Mo Xiaobai's wounds and asked softly, "How are you? Are you okay?" Mo Xiaobai shook his head. "I'll be fine soon." Yin Shui nodded and didn't say anything else. She lowered her head to look at the blade imp leader's corpse. At this moment, the blade imp leader's flesh began to dry up. Rays of light flashed, and transcendent materials began to appear. Very quickly, the transcendent materials appeared on the corpse. Purple, blue, and green lights flashed. Mo Xiaobai's gaze swept over the corpse. The first thing he saw was an origin skill crystal flashing with purple light. A trace of pleasant surprise flashed through his eyes. It actually produced a rare-grade origin skill crystal. He picked up the origin skill crystal and placed it on his forehead to check the origin skill information contained within. Then, he opened his eyes, and a look of pleasant surprise flashed through his eyes. This origin skill was the speed-type origin skill that the Blade Imp leader had used before. Blade Walk. His body turned into a blade of light, and his speed increased dramatically. Moreover, every time he circulated it, a blade of light would appear, and the blade of light could be used to attack enemies. It could be said that this was a powerful speed-type origin skill that could be used to attack or defend. Even among the rare-grade origin skills, it was extremely rare. Yin Shui looked at Mo Xiaobai's excited expression and raised an eyebrow. What origin skill is this? Only then did Mo Xiaobai remember that he hadn't killed the Blade Imp leader alone. If he had been alone, it would have been impossible for him to kill the Blade Imp leader. He would have had to split the spoils with Yin Shui. He handed the origin skill crystal in his hand to Yin Shui. It's a speed-type origin skill. Take a look at its effects. Yin Shui took the origin skill crystal and placed it on her forehead. Very quickly, she opened her eyes. A trace of surprise flashed through her icy blue eyes. This origin skill isn't bad. And Mo Xiaobai nodded and said, "Student Yin Shui, what grade is your speed-type origin skill?" Yin Shui handed the origin skill crystal to Mo Xiaobai. It's a rare grade origin skill. You can use this origin skill crystal. Mo Xiaobai was overjoyed. He took the origin skill crystal and said seriously, "Then you can take the other rare materials. The next time we meet a leader, you can choose your spoils of war first." Yin Shui said softly, "No problem." Mo Xiaobai nodded and said somewhat impatiently, "Then I'll use this origin skill crystal first. This way, after my combat strength increases, it should be easier to kill the next leader." Yin Shui nodded, "I'll help you look around." Mo Xiaobai didn't say anything else. He placed the origin skill crystal on his forehead and began to absorb the knowledge for Blade Edge Walk. After a long time, he opened his eyes and shook his head, which was aching from absorbing too much knowledge. He exhaled slightly. "Done? Then let's go," Yin Shui said softly. "Wait a minute." Mo Xiaobai called out to Yin Shui, who was about to leave. "What's wrong? There might be treasures in that leader's nest. Let's go take a look." Mo Xiaobai pointed in the direction of the empty space. He could see that there was a red light coming from that large cave. It seemed like there was something good there. Yin Shui nodded in understanding. "Then let's go." The two of them passed through the empty space filled with Blade Imp corpses and entered the large cave in the center. The cave wasn't large, only 10 or so meters long. There were a few demon bee skulls piled up in the corner, and the air was filled with a nauseating stench. Mo Xiaobai and Yin Shui both frowned. Mo Xiaobai's gaze swept over the area and saw where the red light came from. On one side of the cave wall, there was a piece of gray metal. The metal was layered, and the parts that protruded from it were like sharp blades. Mo Xiaobai's eyes widened slightly. Gray iron. Gray iron was a rare-grade metal, or it could be used to forge sharp weapons. It wouldn't be a loss even if it was used to exchange for academic credits. He smiled at Yin Shui. "You can take this. I took the Blade Walk Origin Crystal before." The value of a rare-grade origin crystal was definitely much higher than that of a rare-grade material of the same grade. Yin Shui didn't refuse. She nodded and put away the gray iron. Then she said, "Let's go." The smell in here was too disgusting. Yin Shui didn't want to stay here for a moment longer. Within Blade Edgestone Forest, a group of 6 adventurers was slowly walking towards the empty space. At the very front was an elf male holding a black wooden longbow. He had a head of light gray hair and gray eyes. He opened his mouth and said, "I heard the sounds of battle from here. They should be here soon. Judging from the aura, it should be a leader." Behind him, a barbarian man clad in metal armor had a trace of expectation in his eyes. His face was solemn as he said, "Be careful. Since there's a battle, it should be another team dealing with the leader. Don't get sneak attacked." The others nodded in agreement. Soon, they arrived at the area where Mo Xiaobai and Yin Shui had fought. After seeing the corpse of the Blade Imp leader on the ground, their expressions changed. A few people came to the corpse and looked at the rotten flesh. Then, a human male wearing a black robe frowned. He opened his mouth and said, "It's the leader. His strength should be around the peak of the 2nd rank. I didn't expect to be beaten up so quickly." The barbarian frowned. "Look over here." At this time, the elf archer opened his mouth and everyone turned to look. After seeing the empty space through the gap, everyone stood up. "Let's go. Let's go take a look." The few of them maintained their formation and moved towards the empty space in the distance. Soon, they arrived at the empty space. When they saw the scattered blade imp corpses, their pupils constricted and they sucked in a breath of cold air. Which group's powerhouse is this? There's so many blade imp corpses, and it looks like they were all killed in one hit. The person who killed these blade imp is definitely not weak. The others nodded with a serious expression. Even if it's our group, it would take some effort to take down so many blade imp corpses. It can't be that a third year came over, right? It can't be, right? A third year wouldn't be so careless, right? Just as the few of them were discussing, a man and a woman walked out of a cave in a mountain wall. Both parties noticed each other and turned to look at each other. For a moment, the atmosphere was silent. Chapter 121. After a moment of silence, the barbarian and the others looked at the Akatsuki medals on Mo Xiaobai and Yin Shui's chests, and their pupils constricted. The barbarian looked at Mo Xiaobai and Yin Shui and said, "First year freshmen?" Mo Xiaobai also looked at them and found that they were all second years. Two of them had opened 3 apertures, and the rest were all at the peak of the second stage. He nodded slightly. "Yes, hello, seniors. We are freshmen." After hearing Mo Xiaobai's reply, the second-year freshmen held their breaths. After a moment of silence, the gray-haired elven archer thought of something and looked at the two of them. "You're Yin Shui and Mo Xiaobai, right?" "Yes, we are." The barbarian looked at the two of them deeply and then looked at the corpse of the blade imp leader on the ground. He smiled and said, "As expected of the super geniuses of the freshmen, to be able to kill so many blade imp and even a leader, you're really strong." Mo Xiaobai smiled. "Senior, you're too kind. These blade imp weren't too troublesome." The barbarian smiled and said, "Since the two of you have already cleared this place, we'll take our leave." Hearing the barbarian's words, the others were stunned. They looked at the barbarian and wanted to say something. The gray-haired elven archer turned and said, "Let's go." Seeing that the barbarian and elven were about to leave, the others could only follow. Mo Xiaobai looked at the backs of the barbarian and the others until they disappeared into the blade-edge stone forest. Just then, he saw the line of misfortune on those people. However, the line of misfortune quickly disappeared. Yin Shui, who had been silent all this time, also looked away and said softly, "They might have wanted to make a move on us." Mo Xiaobai nodded. "Yes, after all, a leader's transcendent material is very attractive. However, they probably don't have the confidence, right?" Yin Shui nodded lightly. "These people are quite strong. The deeper we go into the Blade Peak Canyon, the stronger the team will become. There might be a conflict later. Be careful." In the Bladestone Forest, the barbarian man and the others walked in silence. Then a human man in a long robe looked at the barbarian man and frowned. "Captain, are we leaving just like that?" "That's right, Captain. We're seniors after all, and we have more people than them. Even if Mo Xiaobai and Yin Shui are very strong, you and the vice captain are experts with 3 apertures opened. You guys also passed the 23rd level of the fighting list last month. If we don't fight for it, we'll lose face." Before the barbarian man could say anything, the elven archer beside him shook his head and said, "The risk is too great. There's no need." The barbarian nodded his head. "Even if those 2 fellows aren't as strong as us, they aren't that far off. If we really fought, even if we won, our losses wouldn't be small. The most precious item that drops from a leader's corpse is an origin skill crystal. The 2 of them have already killed that leader for quite some time. Even if there are origin skill crystals, there's a high chance that they've already used them. Not to mention, the chances of them dropping origin skill crystals are very low. If it's just for other transcendent materials, there's no need to fight them head-on." The elven man nodded. "Also, those 2 fellows are too strong. They just entered the school not long ago, but they're already on the same level as me and Old Wong. There's really no need to offend them just for some transcendent materials." The barbarian man looked at everyone's frown and grinned. "This time, the door has opened, and there's a lot of prey. Why don't we preserve our strength and take advantage of this opportunity to find a few blade imp groups?" When the others heard this, They glanced at each other and nodded slightly. The human man sighed lightly. Those two fellows are really strong. I didn't really believe it when I saw the rankings, but I didn't expect their strength to be so exaggerated. Comparisons are odious. Mo Xiaobai and Yin Shui continued to venture deeper into the Blade Peak Canyon. The Blade Imp leader they encountered earlier was just luck. After encountering a few Blade Imp groups, they didn't encounter any leaders. However, they did encounter a sharp-clawed barbaric tiger, which was also a leader. Its cultivation was at the peak of rank 2, and it dropped some materials. Soon, the sun set over the mountain range in the distance, and the sky darkened. As the sky darkened, the demon beasts and Blade Imp in the Blade Peak Canyon became more and more violent. Their numbers also increased a lot compared to during the day. Mo Xiaobai and Yin Shui both frowned when they heard the continuous roars. Mo Xiaobai said, "We probably won't be able to enter the deepest part tonight." Yin Shui nodded. "Let's find a place to rest." Okay. The two looked around and finally found a small cave without any demon beasts. The small cave was quite clean and had a radius of about 10 meters. The entrance of the cave wasn't big and was suitable for hiding. Mo Xiaobai took out his blood-vein-heavy sword and cut off a nearby rock. Yin Shui glanced at Mo Xiaobai. "What are you doing?" Mo Xiaobai grabbed the rock and walked towards the cave entrance, blocking the entrance. "Otherwise, what if we're discovered at night?" Yin Shui's cold face showed a trace of surprise, as if she didn't expect Mo Xiaobai's answer. Then, she rubbed her forehead. "No need." As she spoke, she took out a piece of black metal with white inscriptions engraved on it. Mo Xiaobai glanced at the metal Yin Shui took out. "What is this?" "Elementary concealment device. Once activated, it can create an illusion. Demons and demon beasts below the 3rd rank will have a hard time detecting it." Mo Xiaobai's eyes widened. "There's such a good thing." He was shocked. Yin Shui saw Mo Xiaobai's shocked expression and couldn't help but roll her eyes. "It's sold in the transaction hall. 500 credits for one, and it can be activated 10 times. Mo Xiaobai, he was a bit embarrassed. After all, there were too many strange things in the transaction hall. He couldn't possibly flip through all of them, right? He happily looked at the elementary concealment device in Yin Shui's hand. "When we get out, I'll buy a few too. Then, I won't have to go back every time I go on an adventure." Yin Shui nodded. "Okay." As she spoke, she placed the concealment device at the entrance of the cave and inserted her origin power. Suddenly, there was a buzzing sound, and a ray of white light spread out, surrounding the cave entrance. The cave entrance immediately became the same as the stone wall beside it. It was impossible to tell that there was a cave here. Yin Shui's aura inside the cave was also blocked. Mo Xiaobai carefully sensed for a while, but he couldn't sense anything. It wasn't until he was about a meter away from the stone wall that he vaguely felt that something was wrong here. Mo Xiaobai stretched out his hand to poke at the stone wall and found that the stone wall was illusory. His finger reached into the stone wall. Mo Xiaobai walked in and entered the cave. This illusory stone wall didn't block the light, and the starlight scattered inside the cave, providing a bit of brightness. Yin Shui, on the other hand, was already sitting on the innermost side, looking at Mo Xiaobai with a speechless expression. Mo Xiaobai was a bit embarrassed from being stared at like this. He quietly walked over to the side facing Yin Shui and sat down. Although the cave was a bit dark, Mo Xiaobai could still see Yin Shui's delicate face through the starlight. Yin Shui saw Mo Xiaobai looking at her, and she also looked back at Mo Xiaobai indifferently, her icy blue eyes completely devoid of emotion. The two looked at each other in silence for a long time. Finally, Yin Shui couldn't take it anymore, and a trace of emotion flashed through her icy blue eyes. She turned her head slightly and muttered in a low voice. "Boring." Mo Xiaobai raised his eyebrows and smiled somewhat proudly. "Didn't you lose?" Yin Shui heard this and immediately glared at him. "Continue." Mo Xiaobai was stunned and waved his hand. "Not again. One more time. Isn't it just staring at each other? Who's afraid of you?" "Really?" "Really." The two continued to stare at each other, and this time it was even longer than before. Mo Xiaobai's eyes were a bit dry, but Yin Shui was still staring at him with wide eyes. Speaking of which, why were her eyes so big? At this moment, Mo Xiaobai suddenly made a face. Yin Shui was stunned, and her red lips twitched. Then, she lowered her head and laughed. Mo Xiaobai spread his hands. Look, you lost again. Yin Shui's smile froze, and she angrily stared at Mo Xiaobai. You're cheating. Cough. How is this cheating? You didn't say I couldn't use tactics. Mo Xiaobai defended himself. Again. Not again. Sleep, or I won't be able to wake up tomorrow. Mo Xiaobai speechlessly looked at the unconvinced Yin Shui. After fighting for a whole day, aren't you tired? Hearing this, Yin Shui regained her senses. Hearing Mo Xiaobai's reminder, she also felt a wave of fatigue and nodded. Let's sleep. Saying this, she closed her eyes. Mo Xiaobai also closed his eyes and began to rest. The next morning, Mo Xiaobai and Yin Shui finished their daily training. Yin Shui put away the concealment device, and the two continued to go deeper into the Blade Peak Canyon. As they went deeper into the Blade Peak Canyon, the number of Blade Imp communities increased, and the number of magical beasts also increased. Moreover, perhaps due to the influence of the door, even the number of herbs had increased. Mo Xiaobai had the white light on his body, so he could find most of the herbs. Seeing Mo Xiaobai find one herb after another, Yin Shui didn't ask too much. After all, he could learn a special origin skill that allowed him to find herbs. This kind of origin skill was very rare, but Mo Xiaobai had encountered 2 void treasures, so it was normal for him to have this kind of origin skill. Very quickly, Mo Xiaobai and Yin Shui were about 200 kilometers into the Blade Peak Canyon. Mo Xiaobai's eyebrows furrowed, and he suddenly felt a trace of anger appear in his heart. But very quickly, a clear stream of energy appeared between his eyebrows, dispersing the anger in his heart. Previously, after eating the white-scaled fish, Mo Xiaobai's mental strength was much stronger than before. Facing an even stronger void force, he was not affected much. One had to know that the last time he was in the blazing Rift Valley, he had been affected by the void energy as soon as he entered. This time, however, he didn't feel anything at all. Now that he felt the effects of the void energy, Mo Xiaobai raised his eyebrows slightly and glanced at Yin Shui beside him. He discovered that Yin Shui's expression was normal. Evidently, she also had an origin skill that could resist the effects of the void energy. At this moment, Yin Shui paused for a moment, then said, "Do you feel it? The void energy is much denser." Mo Xiaobai nodded and swept his gaze over his surroundings. What entered his eyes was a wide, flat area. In the distance, there was a forest of Blade Peak rocks, and from time to time, there would be emerald green grass growing nearby, as well as ash needle trees. It seems like we're very close to the door. Mo Xiaobai became vigilant. I wonder how powerful the demonic beast will be this time. The two of them continued to go deeper. After walking for a few kilometers, they suddenly heard the sound of battle in the distance. The two of them glanced at each other and quickly moved in the direction of the battle. The two of them had just gotten close when they heard someone roar, "Wu Zhangping, do you third years have any shame? You're actually using a second-grade void domain to fight with us juniors for a leader." After the forest of Blade Peak rocks, there was a large open space. Behind the open space, there was a small opening in the cliff. In front of the opening, there were 2 groups of people fighting. One of the groups had 6 people, while the other group had 7 people. Mo Xiaobai swept his gaze over them and discovered that all of them were 3-chakra cultivators. The 6 people in one group were clearly much stronger than the other group, and they were currently suppressing the 7-person group. The battle between the 2 sides was extremely intense. Yin Shui looked at the group of 4 and frowned slightly. They seemed to be third-year students. Mo Xiaobai was stunned. He glanced at the Akatsuki medals on their chests. After seeing the 3 lines on their Akatsuki medals, he raised his brows. "Third-year students are fighting with us? Isn't this too much? So shameless?" Just then, among the 4 of them, a skinny young merman with short black hair and brown eyes sneered and said, we're also 3-chakra cultivators. Why can't we fight? That's right. Today, none of you will be able to enter. F***CKU. What's so good about you third years? Do you only know how to fight with us? If you're so capable, why don't you go and fight with your peers? A tall merman with a rough appearance cursed loudly. Hearing this, the third-year students' expressions turned cold, and their attacks became stronger. It was obvious that they had been hit where it hurt. Originally, they were still holding back. Now that they heard this, they attacked even harder in anger. As the third-year students' attacks became stronger, the second-year students who were already being suppressed were forced to retreat. Seeing this, Mo Xiaobai frowned slightly. Let's go up too. Otherwise, we won't be able to enter either. Yin Xuan nodded, and a cold light flashed in her ice-blue eyes. Just as Mo Xiaobai and Yin Shui were about to go up, there was a commotion behind them. They turned around and realized that it was the barbarians team that they had met yesterday. The barbarian and the elf archer were both 3-chakra cultivators. At this moment, their faces were filled with anger. They had probably heard the sounds of fighting and shouting. They clearly did not expect to meet Mo Xiaobai and Yin Shui here. They were stunned. The barbarian and the others were wary. Junior Mo Xiaobai, Junior Yin Shui. Which third-year students are you helping? Chapter 122. Mo Xiaobai said, Senior, you must be joking. We're also planning to charge through. The barbarian and the others heaved a sigh of relief when they heard Mo Xiaobai and Yin Shui's words. Then, a smile appeared on everyone's faces. Then let's go together. Those third years are too much. The elven archer's eyes flashed with anger. Mo Xiaobai, Yin Shui, and the barbarian rushed over. After seeing these people, the expressions of the third-year students changed. More people are coming. Damn it. Is the one inside not done yet? Wu Jingping gritted his teeth. Block all of them. The other 5-year, 3 students nodded solemnly. The second years, who were retreating, smiled when they saw the barbarian and the elven archer. Sukue, Buqing, you're finally here. There are only a few 3 apertures experts among the second years, so they naturally knew each other. Although they were competitors, now that the third years were here, they naturally stood together. However, they were all stunned when they saw Mo Xiaobai and Yin Shui. First years? 2 apertures? How did they get here? They were already in the depths of the Blade Peak Canyon, and there were many Peak 2 apertures Blade Imp groups nearby. There were even wandering magical beast leaders. How could 2 first years come here? The barbarian youth, Su Kuei, ran over. The battle axe in his hand flashed with white light as he swung it at a third-year rabbit man. The others did not hesitate and began to counterattack. After Su Kuei and Bu Qing joined in, the second-year students who had been retreating finally stabilized. At this moment, Mo Xiaobai and Yin Shui arrived at the main battlefield. The third year's gazes swept across Mo Xiaobai and Yin Shui, and they were slightly stunned. Wu Jingping frowned. First years? Legacy, clear them out. A level 2, 3 apertures barbarian held a heavy sword in his hand and wore a gray metal armor. He laughed sinisterly and said, Leave it to me. I'll be back in a few seconds. Legacy stomped on the ground and charged towards Mo Xiaobai and Yin Shui. His aura surged. When he was about 20 meters away from Mo Xiaobai and Yin Shui, Legacy let out a roar. His entire body flashed with a faint blood-red light. His aura surged, and his speed increased greatly. Rare rank origin skill, brute force charge. Feeling this powerful aura, Mo Xiaobai's pitch-black eyes flashed with a hint of fanaticism. He licked his lips and took a step forward. His hands gripped the heavy sword tightly, and bloody light flickered. The power of the blood tattoo. Wild heavy strike. Seeing that Mo Xiaobai had chosen to meet force with force, Legacy's eyes flashed coldly. Idiot! The heavy sword in Legacy's hand flashed with white light as it slashed down heavily with the berserk power of the charge. Rare rank monster strike. The 2 heavy swords collided. Clang! The ring-shaped white airwave surged and spread more than 10 meters away. Li Guxi's charging body stopped, and Mo Xiaobai took a few steps back. Both of their faces were slightly pale. Li Guxi's hands trembled as he held the sword. His eyes widened, and his dark brown eyes were filled with disbelief. How is this possible? You actually took it head-on. Brute force charge and monstrous strike. Someone who could take this combo head-on would have to be at least 3 apertures level 3 or above, right? This person's cultivation was only at 2 apertures level 5. How could he take it head-on? What the hell? Mo Xiaobai shook his swollen and aching hands. Under the circulation of the breath of life, the recoil from before was no longer affected in a breath's time. He glanced at the shocked Li Guxi and smiled. It's not that hard to take it head-on. Li Guxi heard this, and his face turned sinister. You're crazy. You're just a freshman. I don't believe it. He rushed up again, and white light flashed on his heavy sword. He was going to attack. At this moment, an ear-piercing sound broke through the air. A frost arrow wrapped in white mist shot toward Li Guxi's chest. Li Guxi's expression changed drastically, and he blocked with his heavy sword. Clang! In the collision, Li Guxi's body was pushed back by 5 or 6 meters. Frost spread on his heavy sword. Li Guxi's movement was a little loud. The others who were fighting also saw this scene and were all stunned. Wu Zhengping's expression changed slightly. He lost just like that? Li Guxi is trash. Hearing this, the barbarian warrior Su Kuei laughed. Don't call others trash. Aren't you guys the same? Most of the third years are in the shadow maze. Only you guys shamelessly came to fight with us, right? Being poked at their sore spot, the few third-year students flew into a rage. Wu Zhengping's expression darkened. He said, Lu Dong, go inside and call for help. Then you guys, Lu Dong was stunned. He glanced at Wu Zhengping. We'll block it. No problem. Lu Dong nodded. After clashing with a third aperture second-year student, he retreated. The second-year student was about to chase after him, but Wu Zhengping stopped him. Lu Dong didn't even look back as he ran towards the crack behind him. Seeing this scene, the second-year student's expression changed slightly. Don't hold back. Beat them up. Not far away, Mo Xiaobai also saw Lu Dong go to call for help. He frowned slightly and looked at Li Guxi. Li Guxi swung his heavy sword that was covered in frost. He bowed slightly and looked at Mo Xiaobai and Yin Shui warily. There was some shock in his eyes. These two freshmen were completely different from the freshmen in his impression. Then, Li Guxi seemed to have thought of something. He looked at the two of them and widened his eyes. You guys are Mo Xiaobai and Yin Shui? Mo Xiaobai did not reply. If someone else came, it would be difficult to fight. A cold light flashed in his eyes. His body turned into a cold sword light and rushed toward Li Guxi. Blade walk. Seeing Mo Xiaobai directly attack, Li Guxi's body tensed up and his expression changed slightly. Damn it! At this moment, several frost arrows enveloped him. Li Guxi let out a low roar and brandished his heavy sword with both hands, blocking all the frost arrows. At this moment, Mo Xiaobai had already appeared behind Li Guxi. A faint white sword light condensed in front of him. This was the sword light brought about by Blade Walk. Mo Xiaobai's eyes flashed. The sword light silently slashed behind Li Guxi. Li Guxi, who had just blocked the frost arrows, suddenly felt the hair on his back stand. His body rushed to the right. Clang! Chi! Li Guxi felt pain on his back. His armor was torn and blood flowed out. Before he could even turn around, Mo Xiaobai had already rushed behind him. His left hand clenched into a fist, and the powerful strength brought by the life aura and giant spirit force condensed on his fist, heavily smashing into Li Guxi's back. Li Guxi's face turned pale. He spat out blood. His body flew more than 10 meters forward and landed heavily on the ground. He flipped over and wanted to get up. Mo Xiaobai had already appeared in front of him. His eyes were calm as he stomped down heavily. Dong! The ground beneath Li Guxi cracked like a spiderweb. He spat out blood again. His eyes rolled back, and he fainted. Mo Xiaobai looked at the unconscious Li Guxi and turned to look at the other battles. After all, they were classmates. Mo Xiaobai could not kill them. Knocking them out was enough. Wu Jinping swept past Mo Xiaobai and the rest. When he saw that Li Gusi had been knocked out, his expression changed. Li Gusi, he lost just like that. The others' expressions also changed slightly. Now that Li Gusi was defeated, these two fellows had free hands to deal with them. Originally, without Lu Dong, they were already suppressed by the second years. Now that Li Gusi had been defeated, how were they supposed to fight? On the other hand, Su Kuei and the others revealed excited expressions. Ha ha ha. Good. As expected of Junior Mo Xiaobai and Junior Yin Shui, Mo Xiaobai once again transformed into a sword beam, charging towards Wu Jinping and the others whose expressions changed drastically. Behind the Rift Valley was a basin with a radius of several kilometers. From time to time, there were sharp boulders erected in the basin. At this moment, at the edge of the basin, a team of 6 third-year students ranging from level 1 to level 3 were fighting against a gigantic magic beast with gray barbs on its back and a shoulder height of more than 2 meters. At this moment, the demonic beast was roaring. There were many wounds on its body, and its aura was somewhat weak. The leader, a level 3 night creature male, shouted, "Hurry up, we'll be able to kill it soon." The others were also pleasantly surprised. That was a leader. If a rare origin skill crystal dropped, it would be at least tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands of credits. Everyone could earn tens of thousands of credits with 1 credit. If it was a rare origin skill crystal, the value would be even higher, and there were more than 1 or 2 leaders here. This was a huge fortune. Just as they were fighting, Lu Dong rushed over and said, "Qilun, this is bad. We can't hold on for much longer outside. Someone quickly come and support them." Hearing this, the momentum of the few people who were besieging the leader stagnated. The human warriors who were blocking the demonic beast's violent attacks were stunned. The demonic beast's claws slammed into their shields. Their faces turned slightly pale, and they almost spat out a mouthful of blood. Fortunately, the few of them quickly recovered and returned to their orderly state. The night creature man retreated from the battle and turned to look at Lu Dong, his face filled with anxiety. "What's going on?" There are only a few level 3 chakras in the second years. With Wu Jinping's strength, how could they not be able to stop them? Did you guys go easy on them? Lu Dong's mouth twitched. 2 people we didn't expect came. Who? Qi Luan asked. Mo Xiaobai and Yin Shui. With the 2 of them working together, Li Gusi will soon be defeated. I think it won't be long before he loses. Hearing Lu Dong's words, Qi Luan's expression changed slightly. Those 2 monster freshmen, I forgot about them. Time was too tight, so they only focused on the level 3 chakras in the second years. They didn't even care about the level 2 chakras in the second years. After all, if you wanted to enter the depths of the canyon, you had to at least pass through groups of blade imp groups and powerful demonic beasts. There weren't many people who could enter this place. However, they forgot that there were 2 monsters, Mo Xiaobai and Yin Shui, in this batch of new students. A hint of regret appeared on Qi Luan's face, and then it disappeared. A hint of sharpness flashed across his eyes. "Bring me there." As he spoke, he turned to look at the people fighting and said, "I'll help block the people outside. You guys continue." The others nodded. Lu Dong saw that Qi Luan was planning to go himself, and his eyes lit up. He nodded. "Let's go. I'm afraid they won't be able to hold on for long." The 2 of them used their speed origin skills and quickly ran out of the basin. Very quickly, they arrived outside the basin. When they saw the scene outside the basin, they were stunned. There were originally 6 third years, but after Lu Dong left, there were still 5 left. Now, only Wu Jinping and another black-haired human youth were left. They were struggling at death's door. Moreover, looking at their bruised faces, they didn't seem to be doing well. Bang! Su Kuei's heavy sword slammed into the black-haired human youth's chest. The black-haired human youth's face paled, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. He fell over 10 meters away and fainted without even making a sound. In the end, only Wu Jinping was left, surrounded by Mo Xiaobai and the others. He looked very pitiful. After seeing Lu Dong and Qi Luan come out, Mo Xiaobai and the others all turned their heads to look at them. Wu Jingping's eyes lit up, and he revealed an excited smile. Lu Dong, Qi Luan, come and help. Lu Dong, Chun, the two of them looked at Mo Xiaobai, and the other's glowing green eyes and cold sweat appeared on their backs. I'll help your mother. Before the two of them could speak, the distant Yin Shui had already drawn her longbow. Frozen Heart activated, and an arrow of ice condensed. Rare grade origin skill, sharp ice arrow. The arrow of ice wrapped in white mist shot towards Qi Luan. And Mo Xiaobai had already turned into a blade of light, flashing through the empty space and charging towards Qi Luan and Lu Dong. Seeing Mo Xiaobai and Yin Shui directly make a move, the other second years naturally didn't want to be outdone. Charge! Kill them! Motherf asterisk her, let these third-year trash steal our resources. Kill them. Only 2-3 chakra powerhouses remained to deal with Wu Jingping. The rest of the people all followed Mo Xiaobai and charged towards a stunned Lu Dong and Qi Luan in the distance. Qi Luan had just blocked Yin Shui's sharp ice arrow when he saw Mo Xiaobai and the other's aggressive manner. His expression changed. Retreat. Qi Luan opened his mouth and planned to retreat. At this moment, Mo Xiaobai had already appeared beside Qi Luan. With blade edge walk, his speed was no longer his shortcoming. With the explosion of his powerful physical strength and the rare gray blade edge walk, his speed was even faster than Qi Luan's. After Mo Xiaobai appeared, for blades of light formed by blade edge walk slashed towards Qi Luan. Feeling the sharp blade of light, Qi Luan's pupils constricted. He waved the two long swords in his hands and blocked the attack. At this moment, Mo Xiaobai's heavy sword slashed towards him. Qi Luan, who had just blocked the blade of light, did not even have time to catch his breath. Seeing the blade of light flash past, his expression changed drastically and he blocked with both swords. Clang! His body flew backwards and he spat out a mouthful of blood. Mo Xiaobai rushed forward and lifted his leg like a battle axe, landing heavily on Qi Luan's chest. Dong! Qi Luan was directly stepped onto the ground and fainted. Seeing this, Lu Dong's eyes almost popped out. Qi Luan was a 3-chakra level 3. At this moment, the others surrounded him and looked at him coldly. Lu Dong saw everyone's gaze and gulped. The corner of his mouth twitched. I surrender. Can you not hit me? After a moment of silence, Su Kuei laughed sinisterly. Go. The few of them immediately surrounded Lu Dong. Don't hit my face. The screams quickly disappeared. Lu Dong fell to the ground and fainted. Pile them up. Those at the peak of 2 chakras stay behind and watch over them. Knock them out when they wake up. We'll go in with 3 chakras. Damn it. How dare they snatch the leaders from us? Let them know that we second years are not to be trifled with. Those are the ones at the back of the pack. They only dare to act like a tyrant in front of us second years. Teach them a good lesson. Everyone shouted and piled Qi Luan and the others together. Then, the peak of 2 chakra who had followed Su Kuei and Bu Qing were left behind to watch over the unconscious Qi Luan and the others. The others moved towards the Rift Valley. Mo Xiaobai and Yin Shui naturally followed. The Rift Valley should be where the door was. Based on their experience, the number of leaders inside should be the highest. Naturally, the rewards would be bountiful. How would the third years snatch it away? Chapter 123. Passing through the crack, Mo Xiaobai and the rest could hear the faint sounds of battle not far away. Everyone's eyes lit up as they looked at each other. Over there, they're still fighting. Everyone ran towards the direction of the battle. In the open space, the third-year students were still fighting with the huge magical beast leader. Although Qi Luan was gone, the magical beast leader was already heavily injured and was not much of a threat. In the short time that Qi Luan had left, the injuries on its body had increased and its aura had become weaker. Put in more effort. We'll be able to kill this beast soon. A barbarian girl with long brown hair shouted. In her hands was a large bow that was close to 2 meters long. Just the arrow alone was more than 1 meter long. The others were also excited. At this moment, Mo Xiaobai and the rest rushed out from the sharp bladestone forest. Mo Xiaobai's lips curled up into a smile when he saw the third years besieging the heavily injured magical beast leader. Yin Shui directly condensed ice arrows and shot them through the air, shooting towards the third years. Without saying anything, she attacked. The third-year students who were attacking the magical beast leader felt the cold aura behind them and turned their heads to look. Their expressions changed instantly. What the hell? How do they come in? Where's Qi Luan and the rest? Damn it, these bastards. They actually sneak attacked. Yin Shui's ice arrows were extremely powerful. These third-year students were already at the bottom of the pack, and their strength was similar to Qi Luan and the rest. Facing Yin Shui's attack, they hurriedly dodged. Roar! As the third-year students hurriedly dodged, the leader of the magical beast with spikes on its back roared. White light flashed on its huge claws, and it swiped at the human warriors who had been blocking its attack. The human warrior was dodging a few ice arrows when he felt the wind howling. His expression changed, and he hurriedly raised his shield to block. Dong! His face turned pale, and he retreated a few steps. Blood flowed from the corner of his mouth, and his arm trembled. At this moment, Su Kuei and the rest also revealed a sinister smile. Go! Fuck them! A total of 9 3-chakra second-year students, plus Mo Xiaobai and Yin Shui, a total of 11 3-chakra powerhouses attacked the third-year students at the same time. The third-year students were already fewer in number, not to mention that they had to face the ferocious magical beast leader. For a moment, they could not attend to one thing while the other, and their injuries kept appearing. Damn it, you second-year students. When we get out of here, go train at the training ground. Just you wait. I'm not done with you. Under the roars of roars, the third-year students were all knocked unconscious. The leader of the demonic beasts was already severely injured. Facing 11 3-apertured experts, it was not long before Yin Shui's arrow shot into its eye, and its life force dissipated. After the battle ended, everyone heaved a sigh of relief. A handsome elf man with shoulder-length green hair walked up. He nodded at Mo Xiaobai and Yin Shui and smiled. Junior Mo Xiaobai, Junior Yin Shui, I'm Li Qishi. If not for you guys, we would have been blocked out by these guys. As he spoke, he glanced at the third-year students on the ground. Mo Xiaobai smiled and shook his head. Seniorly, we wanted to come in too. Let's benefit each other. Li Qishi smiled and nodded. That's true. I'm Lu Xian. Junior Mo, Junior Yin, you guys are too strong. It's hard to believe that you're all first-year students. A barbarian man walked up with a smile on his face. I'm Mu Qingdam. One by one, the second-year students greeted Mo Xiaobai and Yin Shui enthusiastically. After all, they had witnessed the strength displayed by Mo Xiaobai and Yin Shui. It was too exaggerated for them to be so strong at 2-chakra level 5. Ordinary geniuses could not compare to them. There was no harm in being on good terms with the two of them. Mo Xiaobai smiled in response. Yin Shui was colder by nature. She only nodded at them without saying much. The second-year students did not care about Yin Shui's reaction. They all knew about Yin Shui's identity. She was the eldest daughter of the Yin clan and was an extremely respected person in the entire empire. Although most of them had their own clans, their clans could not be compared to the Yin clan. They thought that Yin Shui's reaction was normal. On the other hand, they were amazed that Mo Xiaobai, a young man from Pingxi Town, could make it this far. At this moment, the magical beast leader had already extracted the transcendent grade materials. Su Kuei grinned and said, The Soreback Dragon is a very rare leader. Let's see what it extracted. Everyone picked up the items. The rare grade was 2 sharp teeth. The rare grade was the sharp barbs on the Soreback Dragon's back, and some dragon meat. There were also some elite materials and some rank 3 origin crystals. Li Qishi said, This time, in terms of contribution, Junior Mo Xiaobai and Junior Yin Shui should have the most. The Soreback Dragon's teeth should be given to them. What do you guys think? I have no objections. Me too. Everyone had no objections. Li Qishi turned to look at Mo Xiaobai and Yin Shui. He smiled and said, Junior Mo Xiao Bai. Junior Yin, is this okay? Mo Xiao Bai and Yin Shui looked at each other. Mo Xiao Bai then smiled and nodded. Thank you, Senior Li. Yin Shui also nodded gently. Li Qishi saw that the two of them agreed and smiled. You're welcome. This should be yours. With that, he gave the teeth to Mo Xiao Bai and Yin Shui. Although the rare grade swordback dragon's teeth were worth a few thousand credits and were not cheap, it was still good to be on good terms with Mo Xiao Bai and Yin Shui. Obviously, the second-year students all had the same thought. After distributing the items, Su Kuei said, there should be some leaders here. Why don't we work together? Hearing this, everyone was stunned and looked at each other. How are we going to distribute the loot? Li Qishi asked. The swordback dragon had been discovered by the third-year students. Otherwise, they would definitely want to keep it for themselves. Su Kuei said, the transcendent materials will be distributed according to contribution. If an origin skill crystal appears, then it will be distributed according to demand. The person who gets it will give the others the credits according to the market price. What do you guys think? Hearing this, Mo Xiao Bai, Yin Shui, and the others all fell silent, especially Mo Xiao Bai. Although he and Yin Shui were not weaker than the second-year seniors, they were at a disadvantage in terms of numbers. If everyone really fought for it, the two of them might not be able to get it. The others thought that if Mo Xiao Bai and Yin Shui interfered when they were hunting the leaders, it would be too troublesome. After both sides thought about it, Li Qishi smiled and said, I have no objections. If everyone works together, it will be safer to hunt the leaders. We have no objections either. Mo Xiao Bai chuckled and said, if that's the case, then let's work together. Everyone hit it off and worked together to kill the demonic beast leaders. The basin was not small, with a radius of nearly 10 kilometers. Mo Xiao Bai and the others walked less than a kilometer before they encountered a group of Blade Imp. Perhaps it was due to the influence of the door, but there were more than 200 Blade Imp here. There were also 2 Blade Imp leaders, one of which was a demon shaman. Mo Xiao Bai rejoiced in his heart. Fortunately, he had agreed to cooperate with everyone to hunt. Otherwise, he and Yin Shui would not have dared to attack such a group of Blade Imp. Leave the normal Blade Imp to me and Yin Shui. You guys stall the leaders. Mo Xiao Bai said as everyone hid in a corner and looked at the dense group of Blade Imp in the distance. Hearing Mo Xiao Bai's words, Li Qishi and the others were stunned. They looked at Mo Xiao Bai and said, there are more than 200 Blade Imp here. Over 100 of them are probably elites. Junior Xiao Bai, are you sure? Mo Xiao Bai smiled and said, I'm sure. Don't worry, it'll be fine. These peak tier 2 Blade Imps couldn't even break through his defense, all right? If it wasn't for the fact that he needed to kill these Blade Imp as soon as possible, Mo Xiao Bai would not have needed Yin Shui's help. Everyone looked at Mo Xiao Bai. After a moment of silence, Su Kuei nodded and said, since Junior Xiao Bai is so confident, then let's do it this way. Mo Xiao Bai nodded and looked at the Blade Imp in the distance. He grinned and said, I'll go take care of them first. When the leaders come out, you guys stall them. Okay. Everyone nodded. Mo Xiao Bai walked out from the corner and grabbed a fist-sized rock with his right hand. His strength surged as he threw the rock at the Blade Imp Chi. Under Mo Xiao Bai's powerful strength, the rock tore through the air and instantly crossed a distance of several dozen meters before heavily landing on the head of an ordinary Blade Imp that was jumping around while waving its arms. Dong! The elite Blade Imp's head instantly exploded and a bloody flower bloomed. For a moment, the noisy Blade Imp group in the distance fell into a deathly silence. All the Blade Imp looked at the headless corpse, then suddenly raised their heads and looked at Mo Xiao Bai in the distance. Even the 2 leaders sitting on the rock were no exception. After a moment of silence, the abyssal demon priest roared. Immediately, several dozen Blade Imps charged at Mo Xiao Bai, their auras surging. Seeing the roaring Blade Imp charging at him, Mo Xiao Bai pursed his lips and rushed forward with his blood-vein heavy sword. Li Qishi and the others who were hiding not far away were dumbfounded. What the fuck? Junior Xiao Bai Isn't he too reckless? He's going to charge just like that? They originally thought that Mo Xiao Bai would take these Blade Imp and run somewhere else. In the end, they guessed wrong. Chi chi chi. Rays of sword light flashed, and purplish-black blood spurted out. The screams of the Blade Imp could be heard as they died. In a short period of time, more than 10 Blade Imp had been killed. Seeing this scene, the Blade Imp leader's face gradually turned sinister. Damn humans. He suddenly stood up from the rock and charged towards Mo Xiao Bai and the others in the distance. Seeing this, Bu Qing shot out an iron arrow. The Blade Imp leader, who was about to attack Mo Xiao Bai, felt something and used his blade to block the iron arrow. His blood-red eyes looked in Bu Qing's direction. The Blade Imp leader laughed sinisterly. You actually have an accomplice. He roared, and immediately all the Blade Imp members charged at Mo Xiao Bai, while the Blade Imp leader charged at Bu Qing. When the Blade Imp leader got close to Bu Qing, several attacks simultaneously came from around the corner towards the Blade Imp leader. Long swords, heavy axes, large blades, longbows, etc. What? The Blade Imp leader's pupil shrank, and he roared. Rays of purplish-black mist flashed, and his two sharp arms turned into blade shadows. Ding, ding, ding. The attacks were all blocked, but a few of them landed on the Blade Imp leader's body. Purplish-black blood spurted out. Seeing that the Blade Imp leader was injured, Li Qixi and the others were delighted and planned to continue attacking. At this moment, a purplish-black light shot from afar and merged into the Blade Imp leader's body. The wounds on his body were immediately covered by the purplish-black mist and healed at an extremely fast speed. Seeing this scene, everyone's expression changed. Damn it, this is the sacrificial altar's touch of the void. At this moment, the demon's sacrificial altar that was originally sitting there slowly stood up. A blood-red ripple appeared from his body, and instantly all the Blade Imp members, including the Blade Imp leader, were dyed with a bloody light. TSK. Group Berserk, this demon's sacrificial altar is really troublesome. Su Kuei's expression was slightly ugly as he looked at the demon sacrificial altar in the distance. Lu Xian, Yu Xiaoyu, Mu Qing, Li Bei, Lu Qiqi. The five of you go and deal with that demon sacrificial altar. The five of them nodded and charged at the demon sacrificial altar. The remaining 4 second-year students began attacking the Blade Imp leader. On the other hand, Yin Shue's figure flickered as she began killing the normal Blade Imp members. Most of the Blade Imp members were surrounding Mo Xiao Bai, while the remaining few planned to attack the others. Yin Shui glanced at Mo Xiao Bai. These Blade Imp's attacks couldn't even break through his skin. She immediately focused on attacking the fish that had slipped through the net. After killing the fish that had slipped through the net, Yin Shui began helping Mo Xiao Bai clean up the remaining Blade Imp members. In just 10 seconds, under Mo Xiao Bai's sword and Yin Shui's ice arrows, over 200 Blade Imp members fell to the ground, their purplish-black blood pooling into a pool. The two demon sacrificial altar leaders were currently fighting back and forth with the second-year students. The difference in strength between the two sides wasn't that great. However, because the demon sacrificial altar had healing abilities, the two demon sacrificial altar leaders weren't injured at all. Mo Xiao Bai and Yin Shui glanced at each other and simultaneously attacked the demon sacrificial altar. Lu Xian and the others who were helpless against the demon sacrificial altar saw Mo Xiao Bai rush over, and their eyes lit up. Are you guys done? Lu Xian turned his head and saw the Blade Imp corpses all over the ground. His pupils constricted as he looked at Mo Xiao Bai again. The others also looked at Mo Xiao Bai's unscathed appearance with strange expressions. Facing over 200 peak rank 2 Blade Imp members, he wasn't even injured. What kind of monster was this? Mo Xiao Bai didn't know what the others were thinking. He grinned and said, Yin Shui and I will help. With Mo Xiao Bai and Yin Shui's help, the situation became much simpler. The demon sacrificial altar wasn't particularly fast. Yin Shui's frost ability quickly slowed it down. In addition, Mo Xiao Bai's attack power was already extremely high. After using Wild Heavy Strike, The power of his attacks went up another level. In just a short moment, the demon's sacrificial altar was killed. The remaining Blade Imp leader naturally couldn't fall under the siege of Mo, Xiao Bai, and the others. After collecting the rare grade materials, Mo, Xiao Bai, and the others rested for a while to recover their strength and injuries before continuing to hunt. In just a short afternoon, Mo, Xiao Bai, and the others turned the entire basin upside down and killed a total of 6 leaders. 4 of them were Blade Imps, while the other 2 were magical beasts. Only 1 rare grade origin skill crystal had dropped. It was a wind elemental origin skill crystal, which was useless to everyone. As such, everyone decided to sell it for academic credits. When everyone arrived at the center of the basin, they saw the last traces of the door slowly dissipating. When they saw the purplish-black door disappear into the air, Mo, Xiao Bai, and the others let out a sigh of relief. Then, they all revealed excited smiles. Let's go. Out of the void domain. Let's go to the trading hall. It's time to distribute the academic credits. Everyone was excited. Besides the demon beast leaders, they had also killed countless Blade Imp leaders and many other demon beasts. They had even picked up a lot of herbs. Everyone was very curious about how many academic credits they would get this time. Chapter 124. Blade Peak Mountain Adventurers Base. Mo, Xiao Bai, Yin Shui, Li Qi, and the others walked through the city gates, laughing and chatting. The second-year students at the peak of 2 apertures didn't follow Mo, Xiao Bai, and the others. Instead, they continued to hunt outside the Blade Peak Canyon. As for the 3 apertures experts, after Mo, Xiao Bai, and the others woke them up, they left after saying a few harsh words and left. Junior Mo, Junior Yin, let's go to the Adventurers Guild and see if there are any collection missions. Mo, Xiao Bai, and Yin Shui nodded and didn't object. Compared to selling items at the trading center, the credits for completing missions at the Adventurers Guild were 10 to 20% more. Every little bit counted. They walked on the main street and headed towards the Adventurers Guild. Due to the appearance of the door, there were a lot of students at the Adventurers Guild base today. Most of them were second-year students, and some were first-year students who had just broken through 2 apertures not long ago. When they saw Mo, Xiao Bai, Yin Shui, and Li Qi, most of them were surprised. When they saw them leave, they couldn't help but mutter to themselves, "Isn't that Li Qi and the others? Why are they back so soon? Have all the magical beasts in the Blade Peak Canyon been cleared? That's impossible, right? After the door appeared, there should be a lot of monsters inside. How could it be cleared out so quickly? Hey, wait, those 2 on the side, aren't they Mo, Xiao Bai, and Yin Shui? Those 2 freakish freshmen? Why are they together?" Everyone looked at each other. Adventurers Guild's base. Mo, Xiao Bai, and the others walked into the hall and came to a counter. The staff at the counter was a barbarian man in his 20s. He wasn't too old. When he saw Li Qi and the others, he was slightly surprised, then smiled. "Su Kuei? Buqin? I haven't seen you in a long time." Su Kuei grinned. "Ha ha ha. Aren't you 3 apertures now? We've been in the Shadow Labyrinth all this time. Isn't that because the door opened? We're here to earn some money." Hearing this, he glanced at everyone and smiled. "Looks like you've earned quite a lot." Everyone laughed. Then, Su Kuei said, "You show us the mission. Let's take a look at the monster's mission first." The staff member nodded and displayed the mission on the screen. "Well, we have the claw of a gray claw iron beast. Blade Imp's blade, rare grade and rare grade. We have plenty here. The flesh of a rare grade magical beast. We have some here too. Missions is missions where we're found. It's missions, and missions it." Seeing them complete their tasks one by one, even the staff was a little stunned. Although he knew that Su Kuei and the others would have earned a lot, he didn't expect it to be this big. After handing in all the missions that could be completed, Old Yu counted the credits and his mouth twitched. A total of 280,000 credits. Hearing this, Mo, Xiao Bai's breathing stagnated, and a hint of surprise flashed in his eyes. Not only him, but Yin Shui's eyes also widened slightly. Su Kuei grinned and was in a good mood. "We're rich this time. Let's split the credits." The transcendent materials that Emo Xiaobai and the others had obtained from the mission this time naturally had to be distributed. In the end, Emo Xiaobai and Yin Shui each received 30,000 credits, while the others also received 20,000 to 30,000 credits for their contributions. They were all experts with 3-apertured combat power, so their contributions were about the same, and this was only the result of their joint efforts. Mo Xiao by then took out his own personal gains, including transcendent materials and herbs, earning him another 10,000 credits. Just the mission alone had earned him more than 40,000 credits. Mo Xiao Bai's heart raced. After everyone had handed in their missions, everyone was full of smiles. Everyone's gains were obviously not small. Let's go to the trading building. Everyone left the void domain and went to the trading building to sell all of their gains. The transcendent materials that they obtained from working together were distributed among everyone, and the materials that they obtained were naturally sold separately. After selling all the materials, Mo Xiaobai couldn't stop smiling. This time, he had earned more than 110,000 credits. It could be said that he had gained a lot. It could be used for a long time. It wasn't just Mo Xiaobai. Yin Shui also received over 100,000 credits. The reason why her credits were 10,000 lower than Mo Xiaobai's was mainly due to the difference in the harvest of herbs. On the other hand, Su Kuei and the others received less. When they saw that Mo Xiaobai had earned more than 110,000 credits and Yin Shui had earned more than 100,000 credits, everyone was filled with envy and jealousy. Junior brother Mo, junior sister Yin, you guys got rich overnight. That's right. When I was in year 1, I never had more than 10,000 credits, but the two of you have more than 100,000 credits. Everyone looked at Mo Xiaobai and Yin Shui sourly. It was as sour as if they had eaten a few 100 pounds of lemons. Mo Xiaobai only smiled when he heard that. On the other hand, Yin Shui looked calm, as if she didn't care about the 100,000 credits. Mo Xiaobai looked at the calm Yin Shui and couldn't help but twitch the corner of his mouth. This girl was so calm even after receiving 100,000 credits. She probably had more credits than he thought. The few of them walked out of the trading hall. Li Qishi smiled and said, I've been killing demonic beasts and demons for the past few days. I'm too tired. I'll take my leave first and have a good rest. Tomorrow, I'll treat everyone to a meal. Indeed, I'm tired too. I'll go back and rest today. I'm exhausted too. Wait, Junior Mo Xiaobai, Junior Yin Shui. Why don't we exchange communication marks? Buqing smiled and said. He secretly glanced at Yin Shui. Hearing Buqing's words, Su Kuei and the others' eyes lit up. Yeah, let's exchange communication marks. We had a good cooperation this time. Maybe we can continue working together in the future? Mo Xiaobai smiled and nodded. Okay, let's add each other then. Yin Shui shook her head slightly and said, Sorry, it's not convenient for me to exchange communication marks. Hearing Yin Shui's words, Buqing's eyes flashed with disappointment. However, Su Kuei and the others were not surprised. After all, it was Yin Shui. They had never heard of Yin Shui exchanging communication marks with anyone. Mo Xiaobai saw Yin Shui's rejection and glanced at her without saying anything. After exchanging communication marks, they bade farewell. Mo Xiaobai and Yin Shui were both going back to the dormitory, so they naturally walked together. After entering the elevator of Building 1, Mo Xiaobai remembered that he did not have Yin Shui's communication mark. He glanced at the indifferent Yin Shui and said with a smile, Student Yin Shui, why don't we exchange communication crystals? We're friends after all. We can continue working together in the future. After this, Mo Xiaobai finally understood that sometimes working together with others was still better than working alone. Of course, the person working together had to be stronger. For example, Yin Shui. If the two of them worked together, the effect would be greater than 2. Yin Shui was stunned. She did not expect Mo Xiaobai to say this. She pursed her lips and nodded. Okay, Mo Xiaobai smiled. He took out his communication crystal and exchanged communication marks with Yin Shui. End of January, Natsuki's medicine refinery building. Mo Xiaobai stood up from the ground. The wounds on his body slowly healed. His pale face also slowly regained its color. Su-in stood on the side with her arms crossed. Xiaobai, your life force is increasing very quickly. You have to drink more medicine in the future. Mo Xiaobai heard this and rolled his eyes. Su-in, it's easy for you to say. I'm in so much pain. Hee, it's not like I'm the one in pain. Su-in had an irresponsible look on her face. Natsuki, who had finished recording the data, raised her head. She looked at Mo Xiaobai with her green eyes and smiled. However, Xiaobai's life force should be reaching the limit of the second level soon. You're about to break through, right? Mo Xiaobai heard this, and his face fell. I don't have any more credits. I can't even afford the materials for the life force potion. Su Yin's eyes widened. Didn't you get more than 100,000 credits last time? Plus, you've been testing medicine all this time. How did you lose your credits so quickly? Mo Xiaobai counted with his fingers. A third-level cultivation room, a second-level gravity room, a flawless second-level refinement potion, equipment for cultivation. With so many things added together, how can the credits be enough? He felt that it was too difficult for him. Su-in giggled. Among the freshmen, only you and Yin Shui use your credits like this. How can the others dare to use them like this? Natsuki smiled. However, it's worth it to spend the credits. Your cultivation is already at level 8 with 2 apertures. You save a lot of time compared to the others. You didn't fall behind in your life force either. Mo Xiaobai nodded. That's true. If he hadn't spent so many credits, how could he have improved so quickly? It was impossible. Other than him and Yin Shui, the strongest among the freshmen was only at level 3 with 2 apertures. Natsuki smiled and closed her notes. If you don't have enough credits, I'll lend you some. Mo Xiaobai hurriedly shook his head. No need, Sister Xiaotong. With my current strength, it's not hard to earn credits. Natsuki and Su-in had already helped him a lot. If he continued to rely on them, he would feel embarrassed. Natsuki nodded and didn't refute Mo Xiaobai's words. With Mo Xiaobai's current strength, tens of thousands of credits were a lot. Su-in thought of something and giggled. All right, we just accepted an off-campus mission. Do you want me to bring you to have some fun? Natsuki looked at Su-in speechlessly. Yo-yo, stop fooling around. With our cultivation, how can a mission we accept be suitable for Xiaobai? If something unexpected happens, Xiaobai will be in danger. Su-in pursed her lips. I'm just kidding. Mo Xiaobai was stunned. He looked at the two of them in surprise. Sister Xiaotong, Sister Su-in, you accepted an off-campus mission? What kind of mission is it? He realized that he hadn't accepted an off-campus mission in a long time. Su-in smiled. Haven't the merfolk in North Qing Lake been overflowing in the past few months? It's even affected the nearby towns. It's very dangerous for fishermen to go out to fish. The nearby towns all issued missions to clean up the merfolk stronghold at North Qing Lake. The rewards are quite generous, so we accepted it. Mo Xiaobai's eyes widened when he heard Su Yin's explanation. Merfolk in North Qing Lake. He clearly remembered that when he was collecting tigerfish for the Meng Sensei, he encountered merfolk at North Qing Lake. According to Li Shu and the others, there were already a lot of merfolk at that time. He didn't expect them to be overflowing now. Natsuki nodded and looked at Mo Xiaobai. The mission you did last time was at North Qing Lake, right? Yeah. When I went to North Ling Town, I heard that there were more merfolk in North Qing Lake. It has indeed been a few months. Natsuki nodded. Su-in smiled and patted Mo Xiaobai's shoulder. Tong Tong, and I won't be at school for a while, so you don't have to test the medicine. Mo Xiaobai nodded. Okay. At the same time, he fell into deep thought. Should he go and find an off-campus mission to do as well? With his current combat strength, he should be able to complete some simple off-campus missions, right? While Mo Xiaobai was thinking, Natsuki smiled and said, Let's eat here today. I'll go cook. Mo Xiaobai's eyes lit up, and he said with a chuckle, Then I won't be courteous. After eating, Mo Xiaobai said goodbye to Su-in and Natsuki. He planned to go to the mission building to see if there were any missions suitable for him. At this moment, he felt a vibration from his communication crystal. He took it out of his pocket. It was a message from Yin Shui. I'm planning to take an off-campus mission. Do you want to come with me? Mo Xiaobai was stunned. He raised his eyebrows. He didn't think that this guy was also planning to take an off-campus mission. They were thinking about the same thing. He smiled. Just as he was about to reply, another message came in. He looked at it. It was from Mu Forest. During this time, Mo Xiaobai and Mu Forest would occasionally chat. They talked about their respective improvements. Sometimes Mu Forest would complain to Mo Xiaobai that Natsuki always told him to use Mo Xiaobai as a role model in test medicine. He had complained about this for a long time. Mo Xiaobai opened the message. His expression became strange. Mu Forest, I took an off-campus mission. Do you want to come with me? This guy also took an off-campus mission? Why did everyone want to take off-campus missions recently? He raised his eyebrows. He was curious. He sent a message. What mission? Spiritual Heart Academy, first year dormitory area, dormitory number 1. Mu Forest, Li Muir, Ji Feibai, and Kong Xiao Ran were sitting on the sofa. Ji Feibai asked, Brother Mu, will Mo Xiao come with us? Li Muir and Kong Xiao Ran were also curious. Mu Forest shook his head slightly. He smiled and said, I'm not sure yet. Let's ask him first. He paused. Xiaobai is now at 2 apertured level 8. He's catching up to me in terms of cultivation. He even reached level 27 in the battle tower. He's 1 level higher than me. This mission is a little difficult. If Xiaobai can go, we'll be more confident. Li Muir and the others nodded. At this moment, the communication crystal in Mu Forest's hand vibrated. He glanced at it, raised his eyebrows, and smiled. That guy is interested. I'll contact him. He chose to accept the call. Chapter 125. As soon as Mo Xiaobai sent the message, he received a call from Mu Forest. He picked up the call. Hello, Xiaobai. We accepted an off-campus mission. The reward is pretty good. Do you want to join us? Mo Xiaobai raised his eyebrows. What mission? Aren't there murlocs flooding North Qing Lake recently? I took a look, and this mission is quite suitable for us. We're planning to hunt murlocs. A leader is worth at least 10,000 credits. Do you want to join us? Mo Xiaobai was slightly taken aback. A leader is worth at least 10,000 credits? All right. Mo Xiaobai, who lacked credits, was tempted. However, he was a little confused. North Qing Lake? Can Spiritual Heart Academy accept this mission? Of course. Spiritual Heart Academy is also near the Sacred Mountain. It's not far from North Qing Lake. A part of North Qing Lake is still in the Tianyu district. Mo Xiaobai was enlightened. He thought for a moment and nodded. I'll go to the mission building first. If we're going to North Qing Lake, it might be a little dangerous. The murlocs seem to be causing a lot of trouble recently. I'll see if I can find someone else to join us. Mu Forest was a little confused. Who? Yin Shui. Yin Shui. Mu Forest's eyes widened in shock. That ice cube. You can still invite her. Mo Xiaobai smiled. I'm not sure yet. I'll ask. All right then. Ask her first. It'll be best if you can invite her. Okay. Mu Forest ended the call and realized that Li Muir and the others were looking at him. Ji Feibai was a little surprised. Student Mo wants to invite Yin Shui? Mu Forest nodded. Yes, that's what he said. Li Muir blinked. The two of them are in the same school. They should be close. It'll be great if we can invite Yin Shui. After all, Yin Shui is very strong. The others nodded in agreement. Akatsuki Academy. After Mo Xiaobai cut off the call, he thought for a moment and sent a message to Yin Shui. Have you chosen your mission? Soon, Yin Shui replied that she was on her way to the mission building and had not chosen mission yet. Mo Xiaobai immediately told Yin Shui about the quest in the wood forest and said that he wanted to go to the quest building to see what the quest was like. Yin Shui was also interested in the Murloc's mission. After the two agreed to meet at the entrance of the mission building, Mo Xiaobai put the communication crystal back into his pocket and walked towards the mission building. At the entrance of the mission building, Yin Shui stood by the side, waiting for Mo Xiaobai to come over. Yin Shui was now a celebrity in Akatsuki. She was extremely beautiful, and she was the eldest daughter of the Yin family. Naturally, a girl like her was a celebrity in the school. When they saw Yin Shui standing at the entrance of the mission building, Many students turned their heads to look at her secretly. Isn't that Yin Shui? Why is she here at the mission building? Is she here to take on an off-campus mission? What's so surprising about that? Yin Shui is now at the peak of 2 apertures, right? Her combat power is also very strong. It's not impossible for her to take on a less difficult off-campus mission. Hey, why don't we go over and invite her to team up? Are you King stupid? Why would she team up with you? There's nothing to lose by trying. But why isn't she going in? At this moment, Yin Shui, who was standing at the entrance expressionlessly, suddenly raised her head and looked in a certain direction. Many seniors who were secretly watching Yin Shui turned their heads to look. After seeing a very handsome black-haired young man walk over, these seniors had a look of realization. So it's him. No wonder. Tis TSK. It seems that the two of them have worked together a few times since the door at the Blade Peak Mountains was opened. Looks like they're planning to go on an off-campus mission together. Do you think there'll be any sparks between them? How's that possible? That's Yin Shui we're talking about. And Mo Xiao, but doesn't seem to be interested in her either. To be honest, Mo Xiao Bai is really powerful. His family background is far inferior to Yin Shui's, but his combat power is stronger than Yin Shui's. It's terrifying. This junior will definitely be someone when he graduates. Everyone nodded. Mo Xiao Bai glanced at the entrance and immediately saw Yin Shui. After all, she was too dazzling. He smiled and walked over. Have you been waiting for a long time? Yin Shui nodded slightly. Yes. Mo Xiao Bai was stunned. He was just being polite. He didn't think that Yin Shui would agree. For a moment, he didn't know what to say. Yin Shui glanced at the stunned Mo Xiao Bai, and a smile appeared on her cold face. Go in and take a look at the Fishman's mission. Mo Xiao Bai nodded. The two of them walked into the mission building and randomly found a counter to look for missions. There were quite a few Fishman missions related to Northern Green Lake. The most difficult mission was to find the source of the Fishman's unrest and solve it. The less difficult mission was to clean up the Fishman's territory on Northern Green Lake Island. The less difficult mission was to hunt the Fishmen. It didn't matter what level the Fishmen were. An elite Fishman warrior was worth 100 credits, and a Fishman leader was worth at least 10,000 credits. If they killed a Fishman commander, they would get credits, origin crystals, rare materials, and other rewards. This was a huge profit. Mo Xiao Bai's eyes were burning as he licked his lips. He turned to look at Yin Shui. How about this mission? Yin Shui nodded. Yes, this mission is fine. Is it okay to go with Mulin and the others? Yes. Didn't we already work together before? Yin Shui tucked her black hair behind her ears, revealing the side of her fair face as she spoke softly. She was talking about the first cry trial. Mo Xiao Bai laughed and nodded. That's true. The two of them walked out of the mission building. Mo Xiao Bai notified Mulin that Yin Shui would be going with them to do the mission. Mulin, who was waiting, was overjoyed when he heard this. We'll be arriving at Akatsuki soon. We'll meet up at Akatsuki when the time comes. The big three had the force motorcycles connected, so it was convenient to go to any school. Mo Xiao Bai understood and told Yin Shui. The next morning, Mo Xiao Bai received news from Mulin that they had arrived at the big three. Mo Xiao Bai packed up and called Yin Shui. The two of them went out and arrived at the school gate. At the entrance, Mo Xiao Bai saw Mu Sunlin, who had long green hair and was wearing a green robe. He had an elegant and noble air about him as he sized up the students coming and going. There were 3 people beside him. They were Li Muir, Ji Fei Bai, and Kong Xiuran, who had been following Mu Sunlin since the first Ming trial. What surprised Mo Xiao Bai was that Kong Xiuran and the other 2 were already at level 6 with 2 apertures. Their cultivation was much stronger than the new students in Akatsuki. Mo Xiao Bai couldn't help but look at them a few more times. Mulin, who was looking at the students coming and going, saw Mo Xiao Bai and Yin Shui walking over. His eyes lit up. He walked over with a smile on his face and put his arm around Mo Xiao Bai's shoulder. Xiao Bai, long time no see. You don't know how much you made me suffer. My sister almost kicked me out of the house recently, saying that I didn't cooperate with her drug testing. Mo Xiaobai heard Mu Lin's ridicule and couldn't help but roll his eyes. You've already said this 8 times, right? Is that so? I've already said it so many times? Mu Lin was stunned and his eyes widened. He seemed to feel that he had said too much and was a little embarrassed. He turned around and nodded at Yin Shui, who had a calm expression on her face. He smiled and said, Yin Shui, long time no see. Yin Shui nodded lightly. Mo Xiaobai also greeted Li Muir and the other two. Then he asked, Have you rented your mounts? Mu Lin smiled. Of course we have. Mo Xiaobai nodded and said to Yin Shui, Let's go rent a mount first. The two of them walked to the mount rental shop. The barbarian man in the shop had his head lowered and was reading a book. When he heard someone enter, he said in a rough voice, Welcome. When he raised his head and saw Mo Xiaobai, he couldn't help but smile. Yo, it's Mo Xiaobai. Are you going on an off-campus mission again? As the only new student to go on an off-campus mission, he had a deep impression of Mo Xiaobai. Mo Xiaobai nodded. Yeah, I'm renting him out. Or a red-maned horse. As he spoke, he turned to look at Yin Shui. He looked at Yin Shui's Akatsuki medal and widened his eyes in shock. You're also a new student? You're renting him out too? Yin Shui nodded. The barbarian man chuckled. The new students these days are amazing. Going on a mission in the first semester. What kind of mount do you want? The same as Mo Xiaobai's. Okay, 2 red-maned horses. After renting their mounts, Mo Xiaobai and the others summoned their mounts and left the school, heading towards Beiqing Lake. On the way, Mu Lin was riding a green deer. He turned to look at Mo Xiaobai. Xiaobai, didn't you say you went to Beiqing Lake to do a mission? How should we go about it? Mo Xiaobai smiled. Let's go to Northridge Town first. I have a few friends there. We can ask them where there are more merfolk. It'll be easier to hunt then. After confirming that they were going to hunt merfolk, Mo Xiaobai contacted Lu Qing last night to understand the general situation. They would need to rent a fishing boat to go to Northridge Town. Mu Lin nodded and didn't say anything else after hearing Mo Xiaobai's words. The mounts weren't slow. Mo Xiaobai and the others soon saw the rugged waves of Beiqing Lake in the distance. After a while, they arrived at Beiqing Lake. The temperature at the end of January was very low. There was still frost on the grass by the lake. However, the lake water was still surging and showed no signs of freezing. When Mo Xiaobai and the others passed by the lake, they would occasionally see a group of adventurers searching for merfolk. These adventurers were all 1 chakra to 2 chakra. They weren't very strong. Of course, the merfolk by the lake were also very weak. Mo Xiaobai and the others didn't stop. They quickly passed through the forest and arrived at Northridge Town. Lu Qing, Du Ling, Lu Bin, and the others were already waiting at the entrance of Northridge Town. When they saw Mo Xiaobai, their eyes lit up and they waved at Mo Xiaobai. Brother Xiaobai, over here. Mo Xiaobai saw Lu Qing and the others and said, Let's go over. They rode their mounts and arrived in front of Lu Qing and the others. Mo Xiaobai got off his mount and looked at them. He smiled and said, Brother Lu Qing, we haven't seen each other in a few months. How have you been? Lu Qing laughed and scratched his head. Just so. However, the merfolk have been causing a lot of trouble recently. There are even merfolk attacking Northridge Town. Merfolk have already attacked Northridge Town. Mo Xiaobai's eyes widened slightly. Even Yin Shui and the others were stunned. They clearly didn't expect the merfolk to be so arrogant. Yeah, it's been a long time since the merfolk made such a big fuss. Lu Qing frowned slightly. Then, he glanced at Yin Shui and the others behind Mo Xiaobai. He smiled and said, These are your classmates, right? Mo Xiaobai nodded and introduced, Yeah, this is Yin Shui and this is Mu Forest. They're all my friends. Lu Bin, Li Lin, and the other guys behind Lu Qing couldn't help but sneak a glance at Yin Shui. Their eyes flashed with amazement. However, when they remembered that Yin Shui was a student of the Big Three, they didn't dare to look at her anymore. Du Ling looked at Mo Xiaobai and then looked at Yin Shui. Her big black eyes flashed with disappointment, and she lowered her head slightly. Even as a female, she had to admit that Yin Shui was indeed beautiful and charming. After greeting each other, Lu Qing smiled and said, "You haven't rested since you rushed here, right? Why don't we go have a meal and rest first? I'll tell you guys about the merfolk here. Then we'll have to trouble you, brother Lu Qing." "Why would we trouble you? If it wasn't for you, we would all be dead. You're being too polite," Lu Qing said with a serious expression. The group arrived at a restaurant and booked a private room. After ordering the dishes, Lu Qing said, "Recently, the nearby towns have been attacked by murlocs. Every town has issued missions to exterminate the murlocs, so there are many adventurers attacking the murlocs. However, most of the adventurers are hunting the murlocs by the shore. There aren't many adventurers heading to northern Green Lake." Ji Feibai asked curiously, "Why is it like this?" Lu Qing heard this and looked at Mo Xiaobai. He smiled bitterly and said, "Last time, Xiaobai went to the lake with us, and we met 2 rank 2 merfolk leaders. If it wasn't for Xiaobai's shocking strength, we would be dead by now. Now that the merfolk are even more rampant, if we go to North Qing Lake, we might meet a leader. Without a certain level of strength, we wouldn't dare to go to North Qing Lake. After all, we can't even run on the boat." Hearing this, Yin Shui and the others raised their brows and looked at Mo Xiaobai. Although they knew that Mo Xiaobai did an off-campus mission, they didn't expect him to have already killed 2 merfolk leaders by himself. Mu Forest smiled and said, "We want to go to North Qing Lake to hunt merfolk. Can Big Brother Lu Qing help us arrange it?" Lu Qing looked at Mu Forest, who looked like a noble young master, and his heart shivered. People with this kind of temperament were usually people of high status. However, when he thought about how he was Mo Xiaobai's friend, he understood. He smiled and said, "Of course, no problem." Saying this, he smiled at Mo Xiaobai and said, "When you contacted me yesterday, I told Li Shu that when he heard that you wanted to go to North Qing Lake, Xiaobai, he immediately said he wanted to take you with him." Hearing this, Mo Xiaobai was overjoyed. "It's great that Li Shu can help. By the way, do you know where we can find merfolk from Advanced Stage 2 to Stage 3? It's best if it's an area with more leaders." Hearing this, Lu Qing and the others were stunned. Lu Qing glanced at Mo Xiaobai and the others and gulped. "Stage 3? Yeah." Mo Xiaobai nodded seriously. With their team here, even if it was a pinnacle Stage 3 merfolk leader, as long as they cooperated well, they might not necessarily be a match. There should be quite a few merfolk in the area where we met One-Eyed last time, and on the island. Lu Qing was a bit uncertain. Then he smiled bitterly. "With our team's strength, we really don't know which area is stronger. After all, we're only hunting merfolk by the lake." Saying this, he scratched his head, feeling embarrassed. The others were also a bit embarrassed. Mo Xiaobai comforted him. "I'm overthinking. Big Brother Lu Qing has already helped us a lot. Don't worry about it." Then, they ate dinner, and it was already nighttime. They stayed at the hotel for the night, and went to the pier early the next morning. Li Shu was already waiting at the pier. After seeing Mo Xiaobai, Li Shu walked up and shook Missouri Xiaobai's hand. "Classmate Xiaobai, long time no see." Mo Xiaobai also grinned. "Li Shu, long time no see. Your stomach is still so big." "Ha ha ha, you little brat." Li Shu laughed and patted his round beer belly. "When do you plan to leave?" Mo Xiaobai looked at the people in the forest and said, "If it's possible, let's leave now." Li Shu nodded. "Then let's get on the boat."